And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Cricket on Forever Sports. And we are live in my Cape Town take on the Joburg Super Kings down in Cape Town. We are at Newlands as the Joburg Super Kings are currently striding to the crease. Milan, Riza Hendricks opening the batting, and I'm joined by another Steve. So the two Stevens with you guys today. Steven Squared. We probably need to come up with a bit of a name for the duo. But Steven, how are you? Feeling a bit better than yesterday?
Yeah, I know. Yes, I am feeling distinctly better because I think when you showed me around your studio, I think with the thing that had taken you down, I may have picked that up from you. I'm blaming on you anyway. So,
I mean, my voice didn't change and never had any issue with the voice. But if you want to blame me, blame me.
okay, I can blame it on my nephew as well. So should we go with him
Yeah,
rather?
let's. He's not here to defend himself, so yeah, we'll
Fair
we'll
enough.
we'll throw him to the lions. But yeah, so Steve, I mean, we're about what 4 days into the tournament so far. So far, I've so far been quite impressed with the tournament. What's your take on the tournament so far?
Well, I really think it's working out. I mean, you have to say, I think. I mean, I'm a big fan of Test cricket, and we sacrificed the one-day series against Australia, which clearly affects our chances of qualifying automatically for the World Cup. But on early evidence, it's been the right decision. We've had
Mm.
people in the stadiums. We've had people getting into the spirit, and we've had some pretty decent cricket. And so far, luckily, we haven't had any major weather interruptions. So far it's been excellent, and some really outstanding, individual performances, which is, I guess, what you want to see in this kind of cricket.
No, exactly. As we go into the countdown, George Linder will be opening the bowling. He'll be going to Milan, Riza Hendricks. Both these two have failed on both the last two games, so important for them to start off well. Yeah, I mean, today we saw Will Jack scoring a 92, almost became the first SA20 Centurion. First team to go past 200 earlier was Victoria Capitals. And yeah, I agree. I think as Lynn does go, first bit of turn first up. We did see this pitch turning yesterday a lot in the MI Cape Town game. So interesting to see that there's already a little bit of purchase. Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that we potentially have to go qualify for the World Cup is at the time was ludicrous. But as you say, I think the biggest win so far has definitely been bums on seats and big crowds.
Yeah, look, I mean, cricket South Africa really needed that because the last few years have been dreadful. Let's see if there's more turn here.
Yeah, and Yann Milan getting off the mark early there, a little bit of turn from George Linder, gave himself some room. Yann Milan, and he's carved that through the covers. Maria Erasmus, the man in the middle, the best in the world, has to be said. It's about the only way we can get a South African into a cricket final is when Maria Erasmus is involved. And
A little bit short there, and yeah, a little bit wide. Yeah, easy pickings.
yeah, these two haven't gone particularly well so far in the tournament, which is frustrating because we know the quality. I mean, Riza Hendricks at one stage was the 10th best T20 batsman in the world, despite not playing a single game in the World Cup. And Yann Milan, someone who kind of sometimes struggles against spin, also struggling. But you've got to feel that these two qualities will eventually shine through. They're too good not to continue failing.
Well, the interesting thing about a tournament of this nature is, of course, matches come thick and fast. And if you are having a bad patch, it can sort of be a couple of days in a row. But, ultimately, the people who are going to score the runs and take the wickets are going to be the stars of this particular tournament. And you have to fancy that class and pedigree is going to ultimately come through.
Yeah, as Yann Milan calls that one up to much squarer. Bit of a chase, and I think the ball will win. So there we go, Yann Milan, 2 4s in the over. This one going sort of through that point region, and yeah, it has to. I know as a Super Kings fan, very upset with that disastrous of a game yesterday. I mean, just a monumental batting collapse and made what I think wasn't a particularly difficult pitch. They made them look very difficult. So I think probably a confidence thing from MI Cape Town, winning the toss and saying, right, well, yesterday we know what you guys did with the batting first, as it gets a bit early
Leading
onto
edge
that.
there. That was a much better delivery. The first couple of deliveries were a little bit short and a little bit wide, but that one it squared him up. It was a really good delivery.
So yeah, and also I suppose in terms of form, George Linder going to Yann Milan, last ball of the over, once again quite wide. Yann Milan just punching that two cover. You know, maybe on the reverse of that, when you're bad, when you're bad form and you suddenly have a couple of games and you can be out of it. It's probably also quite nice when you have two failures to be able to get up there quite quickly and not sit there waiting a number of days, doubting yourself, getting used to it, and you can just sort of go out the next day and try and move on from the previous few innings.
Yeah, I mean that ultimately is the idea. So they picked up 8 runs in the first over. It wasn't a brilliant over from George Linder, but I mean eight runs is not bad. But certainly those later deliveries in the over were a lot tighter, and you see the batsman played them more circumspectly. And let's talk about the pitch. Because this track has been played on a few times, and I know it was mentioned by, I think it was the skipper Parnell in the last match that they played, that he said, the thing is, the pitch is taking a little bit more turn, and of course we get to another scenario here is about batting under lights when you do come out to bat again, and things get a little bit greasier.
Yeah, and I think this is the third match. I think it's still the same wicket that they've used on the opener as well as the last two. And we saw George Linder's first delivery turning quite a lot. And probably, I mean, that'll play into MI Cape Town's hands, really, having George Linder, having Rashid Khan, who, if Rashid Khan starts getting a bit of grip, can become, I mean, he's one of the best spinners in the world anyway. And if he starts getting some grip, it's a very ominous prospect for the Super Kings. Interesting though, again, we talk about the games coming thick and fast. It'll be interesting to see how the pitches do play. I mean, we saw an absolute belter in Pretoria today. I mean, absolute road. I mean, almost 400 runs being scored there today. But this Cape Town wicket looks, as I said, it looks like it's going to get a lot of turn. And if it keeps, I mean, one imagines that they'll move off for a couple of days. But this evening, I think, yeah, it could be an interesting pitch to bat on. And if you start getting some early spin, I mean, you got Shut as well. Probably right now favours the MI Cape Town lineup more than the Joburg Super Kings.
Sam Curran's made a good start to this over. He's bowling from the other end.
So in terms of a couple of changes in the teams, just very quickly having a look here, it looks like Odin Smith has come into the side, as well as Waka and Salam Keels, so no Jofra Archer for MI Cape Town and no Johan Janssen, which I think is also an interesting decision given how he batted particularly yesterday. And no Ollie Stone as well. As Sam Cohen guns in for his third delivery of the over, bangs it back for length. Riza Hendricks says, "Thank you very much. I don't know if it'll go over the distance." Oh, I think it has gone the distance. I think that could be a maximum. It was a free hit from a no ball earlier. He banged it in short, and Riza Hendricks has picked it up beautifully, gone over that deep extra cover region. And that's
there. I was
I think that's
saying how well Sam Curran had bowled, but yeah, this one short. Stood up for Riza Hendricks.
Sorry, it's actually Jan Malan on strike. I was wrong on that one. Yeah, Riza Hendricks came with the strike there. So Jan Malan 14 of 8 so far, and happy to just punch that. But that's a shot that I think will build a lot of confidence, don't you think?
Oh, you'd think so. I mean, Riza Hendricks was in some sublime form, and he's the kind of player who really, almost looks as if he can do anything when he's got it. But unlike, some of those, the batsmen, if we think of, the AB de Villiers or the new AB, Brevis, he can seem a little bit fragile. And when things get a little bit fragile, I guess he starts being a bit sort of half-hearted in his decision-making when it comes to those strokes. And maybe that's what he needs to do. He needs to sort of embrace the beast, so to speak.
Yeah, 100%. I think, especially when you're batting well right away, back yourself. As Cohen goes to Milan. Milan has pulled that short. I don't think it was a catch there. Rickerton's gone down. I think it's Rickerton that's gone down and stopped it. But a very exciting player into the Joburg Super Kings lineup. Just the sole change. Gerald Coetzee finally gets a game. And we saw Unorthodox bowling rockets. Gerald Coetzee knows how to put it down. How exciting is it going to be to see what he can do on this, especially on this pitch?
Well, indeed. Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting because the fast bowlers on this pitch, I mean, we've seen some of those short balls. I mean, they tend to stand up and they're there for the hitting, but George Coetzee certainly has that extra pace, which can potentially, get something out of this and make the batsman hop around. We've seen another good delivery there from Curran. He's actually got the leading edge there of Yanaman Milan, who is looking pretty good at this stage. He's made a very positive start to this innings.
Yeah, and good to see. I think. I mean, he's someone who has not really. I mean, on an international level, hasn't really sort of settled into T20. He was kind of in and out of the team. One day, is a whole different story. He had that phenomenal breakout year, where he was actually nominated for ODI Player of the Year. Sam Curran the second last ball of the over, and but he's somebody who I think sometimes goes pretty hard early and almost doesn't know how to tail it back. So what I'd like to maybe see is a bit more application today. The 14 of 12, we're looking at 17 from the first two. It's a good start. Be aggressive, but be aggressive within reason, given the fact that we've had two batting collapses from the Joburg Super Kings in this tournament so far.
Yeah. Okay, so for you, what is the key then to getting it right at the top of the innings?
Well, as we say, that gentleman almost chopping it on, so he survives it. I think the biggest thing, and it's something that the Joburg Super Kings have almost sort of struggled with is to. I think all the teams want to. They talk about all the teams wanting to be aggressive and they want to have this aggressive brand of cricket. But I think we almost saw two different types of batting collapses from the Joburg Super Kings. The first game, it kind of looked like they were being a bit tentative. There weren't really big shots going after bowlers. They weren't, we weren't being caught on boundaries or just mistiming. And, they were almost a bit tentative. And it was quite the opposite yesterday, where I think they then tried to be almost too aggressive. I mean, Riza Hendricks coming down the track to try and launch a ball that just wasn't on really. And getting caught, and Faf du Plessis as well taking on the field, coming down the track, Lungangiri getting a pick outside the edge, which turned out to. And I think it's a case of, to be aggressive, but to pick your deliveries. I think you've got to sit there thinking that it's the power play, and you want to go at 8, 9 and over in the power play. Well, so 4, 5 and over. You want to be sitting at about 50 runs on. So you want to go at 7, 8, 9 in the power play, but when you've got players like a Donovan Ferreira in the lineup, your opener, I think, as well, is to get it to a good start, but also try and be there and make sure that your middle order is your middle order, and that you're not going to Donovan Ferreira, batting in the power play.
I think that is critical. I think that for me that's critical. If we looked at that big score, 216 for 6 earlier, a batsman he carried his bat, didn't he, through the innings? 92 not out of 46, if I'm not mistaken.
I think Will Jackson did go out, but we saw Phil Salt, for example, carry his bat down in Brevis.
Oh yes, yeah, that's right. Yes.
And that should run all the way. Daniel Milan, I'm not sure if he's actually managed to get an edge of that. It'd be interesting to see what the umpire decision here. It was a pretty poor delivery from Linde. He fired it way down leg, and 4 wides is eventually actually the call. So for the 5 wides there will be very useful. Pretty average delivery.
That was well less than average.
Yeah,
that was a full set of stumps outside the leg side, I think. That was pretty poor. And much better now.
And such a nice moment. I mean, from a batsman perspective, you're thinking, right, we want to try and get to the 8, 9 off the over, and you get 5 wides. That's just done half the work for you.
Yeah, well, and as we saw in the last over, when you bowl a no ball, it can really, really cost you. When we talk about statistics, it'll be kind of interesting, I guess, at the end of this tournament and at the end of where we are in this match, is to compare the impact of those no balls and those wide deliveries, and the kind of impacts that they have on the game, because we've seen basically 10 free runs so far.
Yeah, and I mean in a T20, where runs are such a premium to give so many gimmies, especially early on. We're talking about a side that is low in confidence, especially these two that they've had two really bad starts. To go and give them, I mean, it's 5 wides and a free hit which went for 6 to 12 runs, really.
Exactly.
For nothing out of 23, and all of a sudden they're seeing 23 over 2.5 going quite nicely without having to actually play too many shots. I mean, Jan Milan he hasn't had to play a shot in that over, and it's gone for 7.
Exactly.
That's it. The third, 24 for none. Halfway through the power play, already a much better power play than the Joburg Super Kings have had. It's the first time they haven't lost a wicket in the first 3 overs. For you, what's a good power play score?
I mean, you've spoken about this track being, clearly it's not a deck like Pretoria was earlier today. I mean, I think you can fancy yourself if you get 180 runs on this pitch that, batting first, although it is being one of those pitches which has proved better to bat second, because it gets a little bit more difficult for the fielding side in the second innings. I still think 180 is a good kind of score. If you can get to 180, I would suggest that that's a good score on this. But having said that, I really need to sort of go through some of those other scores and see how they turned out.
Well, very exciting moment here for MI Cape Town. Kagiso Rabada into the side, into the attack. Hasn't played a game yet in the SA20 on the back of a very grueling test series against Australia where he had a lot of minion over to bowl. And he started, it wasn't the best delivery, it was almost staying on leg, but Jan Milan has given himself space and they ran through for a quick single. It was a good throw in the end. I think it was Curran who's had the direct hit. Jan Milan well in. But Kagiso Rabada is someone who during the T20 World Cup, for example, actually struggled a little bit and was probably one of the poorer bowlers. So probably, I mean, it's a tournament. He's a big player, big name player, and he's a player you're never going to drop. But he's actually probably got almost something to prove a little bit to South African fans at the moment from a T20 perspective.
He's an interesting character. I would say very much that, it's a confidence attitude thing. We've heard stories in the past about, when he's been off in the test side, and the skipper Dean Elgar's come up with a way of getting him revved up, and it works.
That is an
And that's an
absolute
outstanding
corker.
delivery.
He's cut Riza Hendricks in half. There was a big appeal there. Umpire's not moved, but yeah, I think that's an interesting point that they're not going to go upstairs. That's an interesting point you said to make about how Dean Elgar managed to fire him up. I think he's a player who just has played so much cricket and it was worrying the other day when he came out and he spoke about you kind of get over it, and you don't want your premier fast bowler, one of the best bowlers in the world, saying you kind of get over it. We need him enjoying his cricket, and it must be so difficult for him. I mean, how do you not play IPL and not play the SA20, and then you get offers for other T20 leagues, and the money is so good? How do you say no? But we've got to keep him fresh. We've got to keep him loving the game.
He's made an excellent start to this over. And that the previous delivery where he went up for the appeal, see it hit the thigh guard on its way through the keeper, nowhere near the bat. But the little screen we're looking at it on, it could well have been a chance. Could well have been a chance. But he certainly started this over very well. He's been on the money. And that's
Well,
another
that
good
is
one. Oh,
brilliant. And Riza Hendricks' leg start, I think it's his leg start, has gone spiraling. And Kagiso Rabada, wow, you're talking about a good start. That is a brilliant start. He's gone straight through Riza Hendricks, bowled him through the gate. The early breakthrough, Riza Hendricks, another top ball fail for him, but I mean, that was coming from Rabada, wasn't it?
yeah, that certainly was coming from Rabada. I mean, that first delivery he bowled, it moved off the pitch. He's got it to do something. He had moved off the pitch, and then he had that one which went inside the bat, and now he's managed. I think he's pitched this one up a little bit more, just a little bit more,
I mean,
and it's taken the top of off stump.
that is
Gosh,
gorgeous.
fantastic delivery.
There's nothing better than seeing a top of off. And I mean that is the first. That's the most textbook wicket you can really get. That's a
Yeah.
genuine nickel. There's not much better.
And unfortunately, Riza Hendricks' disappointing start to the tournament. He didn't really look comfortable. He had one or two nudges, and certainly against KG in this over, KG was bowling particularly well. We can say that with some certainty. But Riza Hendricks is a top order batsman. He needs to be able to deal with that, and he wasn't even looking to go after KG with any of those shots. He was just literally trying to get his range in, and he unfortunately he wasn't up to the task. I think so. I mean, if we look at his form this year in the Indian Premier League, it was outstanding. He's managed to find an incredible level of consistency, and when he is slightly out of form, he doesn't seem to be, have long spells. Certainly in this format, I think he's been, that's why I think a lot of teams would certainly like to have Faf du Plessis in their side. Not only is he a calm head when he's leading the side, he's also, he delivers with the bat.
So, what do you think the
Well,
conversation
I
in terms of
mean,
how much they want to be at after the next 2 overs?
well, um, again, interesting. The skipper's at the crease now. What does he say? Riza Hendricks, he battled his way to two. What did he face? Six deliveries. Unfortunately, that was not very good from him. Janman Milan is on 16. The Faf, the skipper's faced two, and he's managed to get off the mark. I think these last two, they've got 2 overs left in the power play, have they?
Yep.
I mean, I think they need to try and get at least 20 of those.
So 46 for one, I reckon, would probably be a good power play score. Faf du Plessis just pushing Ninja down the ground for a single off the first, bringing Yannick Milan back on strike. And I think Yannick Milan probably has to take a bit of responsibility here. He's seen the most deliveries. He's hit a couple of boundaries. 16, I wouldn't say necessarily you're in, but by the time you get to 16 and T20, you've seen after 18 balls, you should be in, So I reckon he should be looking to really take on Linda, yeah.
No, I think so. I mean, again, Faf du Plessis shows the quality. He looked at Rabada for one ball. He managed to get a comfortable single off the final delivery, and he's taken a single here off Linda, and it's Yaman Milan's turn to get the job done.
Very cautious here in Milan, an inside edge actually. Not really looking to go after Linda, which is frustrating from a joke. I mean, I understand that, we lost a wicket and stuff, but I mean, we've had two deliveries now to him in Milan in the over, and not one has he really looked to even score, let alone try and find the boundary. So I'd like to see a bit of aggression, yeah. Get off strike. If you just rotate the strike unit. Now it does come to on the track, and he's chipped it straight to middle. Then there he goes, and Milan, and saying that frustrating.
Well, you wanted him to be positive. Linda had bowled tight deliveries. He's tried to create some room for himself by coming down the track. But again, was that the right move to the right ball? Did Linda see him coming?
I don't know. It's just, I think my frustration is so many dot balls, and that was what we saw yesterday. We saw a lot of dot balls in that Joburg Super Kings game, and I feel that you can't. The best way, even if you're just rotating the strike. I mean, if you find yourself 4 singles in an over and a boundary, that gets you to 8 pretty easily, and you don't have to take massive risks either. So I'd like to see far more rotation of strike. I mean, George Linda's bowled 10 dot balls. You can't have 10 dot balls. I mean, if it's 5 dot balls and you've gotten 5 singles, you're already sitting on 32. You're putting more pressure on him, and it's a bit better. But for me to not even look for a single to block 2 balls out and then try to go hard is a bit frustrating. I think that find the gaps. It's the power play. There are gaps. There are lots of gaps to be had. You don't also have to go area. You can go along the ground. There are plenty of gaps to hit.
Well, I mean, I think maybe this is an error batsmen make is, when the fielding restrictions are still in place, is they're always thinking, I have to get to the boundary. But often, if you hit it into a gap and you've nudged it, with the field up, you've got an easy 2 runs, possibly 3 if it's goes a long way. So again, I suppose it comes back to decision making, and choosing the right shot.
Yeah, and I think decision making I think it's been a colossal lack of good decision making from a Super Kings point of view so far in the early stages of it. But it brings in Carl Verreyn into the crease. He's a bit of a nuggety player, not really your sort of power hitter, blaster. In many ways, he's been suited to the situations he actually has to come into, but hasn't really managed to sort of show his class as of yet. I'd like to see him. Again, I don't think he's a player that necessarily has the capacity to go at 200 strike rate. But he needs to. He's a bit of an accumulator, and I think if he can just accumulate some runs, I mean that's all you got to do. He's just waited for that. He's cut that wide, and that should go all the way for 4. Verreyn gets off the mark perfectly, and again that's a low risk shot. There's not much aggression there. He just plays it late. He pierces the gap, and he's found himself an easy boundary.
I mean, I'm trying to pick up whether Linda dropped that a bit. Did that go a bit wide?
Yeah, I think it,
I mean, he did create the room.
It starts outside. It doesn't really move much, so it's about 4.
No, it's a really good shot. It's not a bad delivery. He's just created the space and he's waited for it to come to him. And he's just put it into the gap and not trying to hit it too hard, as you say. That's a very good shot.
Into the last. And Carl Verreyn, well, we talk about...
Listen, Manchester United won, so you can have that.
That is unbelievable. After catching it fine for four, Carl Verena's tried to go do the same thing. It's popped up in the air. Joburg Super Kings 31 for 3, and the top order failures continue. They just can't have a power play, can the Joburg Super Kings? And that's,
No, it's
you look at this as irresponsible, it must be said. I don't think there's any need to flash that hard at that.
no. Again, he could have played a very similar shot to the one he played before along the ground. But instead of, he kind of moved his leg forward and he sort of opened himself up and tried to, I guess, almost scoop ramp that. And in the end, it was a really easy catch he gave. So yeah,
Now, Joburg
poor
Super
shot.
Kings reeling once again, 31 for 3 after 5. And
Okay, that 46. If they get to 46 after the power play, without losing another wicket, we'll have seen quite the next few deliveries would have been pretty interesting, I think, because here we are at 31 for 3, and the Proys come to the.
well, interesting. Luis Toy hasn't played yet so far in the tournament. 97 T20 matches, 28 years old, so it's kind of into his prime. 2,000 runs, average of 30, strike rate of 129. Big opportunity for him, and I mean, you don't want to hype a player, but I'd really like to. Oh, then we just cut to Faf du Plessis, who was on strike, and I think the ball just taking off a bit. There's what Faf du Plessis is saying. Can't be a very happy coach there, Stephen Fleming, right now.
Well, no. And Stephen Fleming, remember, played one of the great innings in cricket history here at the Wanderers. So it's listen to me at the Wanderers.
Yeah,
And I'm just
Faf
thinking
du
of,
Plessis.
I'm thinking of Johannesburg. Again, that was a good shot from Faf du Plessis. He pushed it. He didn't hit it too hard. Excellent fielding there. Pushed past the bowler. But once again, having a look at this dismissal of Kyle Verreynne, 2 balls, 1-4, and out.
Yeah, and just so annoying because it's difficult. I mean, and the problem is again, we had this conversation yesterday. If you lose wickets, you need to be losing wickets if people are going hard and accumulating a lot of runs. If you're sitting at 70 for 3 after the power play, you're sitting there going, lost 3 wickets, but you had 70 runs. But Joburg Super Kings continue to be 30 for 3 after 6 or 7 overs, or 25 for 4 and stuff. And there's no runs and there's too many wickets.
And what was their score after 2 overs? Those 2 loose overs?
Yeah, I
They
think
had
that was 23 for none.
23 for none after 2 overs. And here we are in the 6th over, 32 for 3. Shocking.
Yeah, and
I must say, Kagiso Rabada, who's now bowling, must take a large part of the credit for that. He bowled an outstanding first over.
bars in there, and Luis Deploy goes straight over the top. There should be a couple falling through. They're both quite quick between the wickets as Linda goes back. Just a single there. Rabada's going for just 4 runs in his opening 10 deliveries. 2 balls left. Faf du Plessis. 2 balls left remaining in the power play, and I think traditionally you'd be looking to really target Rabada and try and use the pace. And but at the moment with 33 for 3, you're kind of now back in survival mode and try and get to 10 overs. Try and give yourself a bit of a platform to launch from.
Yes, and of course they're probably now trying to see off KG because he's bowling so very, very well. But this again was well played. Rabada dropped it slightly short. He was able to turn that away fairly easily onto the leg side and take an easy single. But singles aren't really much use in the final over of the power play, are they?
No, because I mean, this now middle over period is your period of singles and hard running. Your sort of 6 to 12 overs. Right, Rabada into his last delivery. Wanted to be aggressive. Luis Deploy came down the pitch to him. I think it was a slow ball. Yeah, it's 121 kilometers an hour. You can see he kind of had to pull out the shot after picking up the slow ball. But 3 runs from that over, and power play problems once again for Joburg Super Kings. And again, we saw a couple of nice shots there, and then ball through the gate was Riza Hendricks. Phenomenal delivery from Kagiso Rabada. And then, Jan Milan chipping it to middle, and Verreynne chipping it to point. So frustrating wickets. You think with apart from Riza Hendricks, wickets that didn't need to happen.
No, uh, George Linder's basically, he's benefited from some poor decision making by the batsman here.
Well, he's going to be rewarded here. He's bowled. He's bowled us three. He's actually going to. Rashid Khan's going to bowl him out. He's 2 for 20 and three. Is George Linder the power play? So you can see a lot of three fielders out on the leg side, and Linder goes to his fourth, and Faf du Plessis happy to just I'll just turn that away to the leg side and get through for the single. And now for me, it's about 4 to 6 overs of 6 to 7 runs and over, but being relatively safe. Just rotating the strike, looking for that one. I thought Paul Salt had done that so well on Thursday the other day, where he just rotated the strike. He batted through the innings. He was exactly what they needed. People can bat around him, and he just accumulated a lot of runs. And get yourself to 12 overs where you then got wickets in hand, and somebody like Donovan Ferreira can come out and do what he does without having to sit there thinking, well, I've actually got 12 overs to see out here.
Yeah, and I think that these batters here, they really have to do some consolidation. So I think this is very good captaincy here, keeping George Linder on. He did have a couple of loose deliveries in that first over, but he's been bowling pretty accurately since then. And the batsmen have not been playing him very well, and I think that's a wise move to keep him on. And now the fielding restrictions aren't in place. Someone's going to have to, go big if they're going to try and, reach the boundary here if they, depending where they want to hit the ball.
Yeah, perhaps you're going back to that delivery, which is almost a bit dangerous. You have seen the pitch misbehave. You don't really want to be going back to too many things, but in the end, playing it quite well. Linda's just 2 from the first 3 deliveries going in. Looks like, look at that wind, by the way. Looks like a massive gust going across the stadium there.
It should make catching interesting if it goes up very high.
And hardcore there. If he hits, he's gone. And Lewis Deploy very eager to get down. And Faf du Plessis sending him back and just telling him to, well, I think it's a bit of apologise as well. I think it was a half yes, half no.
Lynn's gonna end with excellent figures here. After conceding 5 wides in that very mediocre first over, but first few when was the wide? Was that in the first over or the second over? I remember.
That's second over, I think.
Yeah, but he's going to end with excellent figures here, I think. I mean, he hasn't conceded a boundary since Verena hit him for that 4 when he came to the crease.
Not many boundaries in the innings, yeah. Just 5 wides. There's 1 6 and I think 2 3 4s maybe.
Those 4s were very, very well played, and the shots which the batsman went out to, very poorly played.
Right, so that is the end of a very impressive spell from George Linder. They do come back for the second. That's good running, it must be said. That over going for 5 runs. Not fantastic, but what a spell that is. 2 for 25 in 4 overs. And I think the important thing was the 2 wickets there.
Can't argue with that. And I guess, Kagiso Rabadu, who came in, can, I think, be given some credit because he bowled such an excellent over. I think the decision was made, well, we have to get something off Linder, but they didn't play well at all, unfortunately.
Right, so looking at the log there, Pro Capitals 2 from 2. No bonus point just yet for them, but that's in 8 points. Paul Royals bouncing back brilliantly from their first loss. They're sitting on 5 points in second place, tied with MI Cape Town, who went down yesterday to the Durban Super Giants, who got their count off. Sunrise the Eastern Cape, the only team not to have won a game so far, which would be a little bit concerning for them. It's a nice. Everybody sort of talked about them as a dark horse in the tournament, and just don't think haven't really hit their strats. But here we go. Wacker Salenkeel into the attack. Left arm Chinaman, left arm wrist spinner. Lots of spinners in this Cape Town side, and I think this could be an interesting spell. 21 years old as well, so very, very new to the scene. I wouldn't imagine if they probably ever bowled in South Africa.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. We should actually have a look at him because what is interesting about the international cricket circuit is that a lot of these people who do appear as and they may be unknown to us that might have toured with age group teams at previous stages. So let's see if I can find some information.
Afghanistan player. He's played for couple of teams. I mean, he's played a test match, played 12 first-class matches, 24 T20s in his career. And yeah, the fact that he's Afghanistan is probably what makes me think that he might not have, that unless he played in an under-19 World Cup, I don't think we get too many touring teams from Afghanistan. It's good running from the two batsmen there. Work had started quite nice. At the end of the day, a leggy that starts hitting his length and line quite early is an interesting prospect. It does seem to bowl quite quickly as well. Almost like a bit of a left arm version of Rashid Khan, which is a pretty frightening prospect, actually.
Yes, no, doesn't look as if he's. It looks like he's pretty new on the scene.
And interesting, like we were talking about this, some of these teams, paying some big money for certain players, and how a lot of the time, and you just look at something like this, like a youngster. Yeah. Oh, that is absolutely brilliant. He's bowled Faf du Plessis. Faf du Plessis glaring at the pitch in disgust as that ball gripped and turned and got through. He hits his middle stump. Right, well, remember the name because Watchalong has just bowled the Joburg Super King captains. They're 41 for 4. What a delivery that was.
That was excellent. I mean, I don't know why he's looking at the pitch so much. Did it stick in the pitch?
Oh, it just
turned. It just turned a lot. Turned a lot. Maybe it gripped a little bit more. But both teams have got to play on this. And this is where it gets interesting again with the side batting second, or the side bowling second, is when it gets a little bit greasier out there, and perhaps you don't get as much purchase as these spinners are getting now. So again, I think the fact that George Linder bowled out his 4 overs, and Rashid Khan has kept his spin here. I think we're going to be probably seeing spin from at least one end for the rest of this innings, unless some of these batters actually do start going after the slow men.
Yeah, and Jonathan Ferreira once again, very much a finisher, and he's in early on as well. So, and this. I mean, we saw him play an absolute blinder in the opening match for JSK, and a bit of a failure yesterday. And I mean, 24 years old, carrying a lot of expectation because of the price tag. But you got to feel for him because he's yet to really come in a situation where he'd like to be. We're at like 100 for 2 after 11, 12 overs, or even 13, 14 overs, and you have license to go from the word go without having to go too deep.
And again, but now good way he handled the delivery first up. I guess over pitched a bit on the leg stump, but he got his bat to it, and he turned it onto the onside and he took a run. So that's a confident start by him. But yes, and you have to imagine that it can't be very fun in the change room right now. Yes, this is only early in the tournament, but having said that, the starts that the Joburg Super Kings have made have been disastrous. And if you don't make a good start, there's really the chances of you coming back are not, completely absent, but getting a good start, well, in any form of cricket, to be fair. And if you can't make a good start, and this really is a very, very bad start by the Joburg Super Kings. They are now 43 for 4 after 7 overs. I mean, if this was a one-day international or a 50-over match, that would be bad. If this was at least for a 50-over match, the score would have been quite good, I guess. But
yeah, I think what's for me worrying is seeing how good spin's been, and Joburg Super Kings just don't have that spinning lineup. They've got Aaron Pangisa, they've got Jonathan Ferreira, who are. I mean, Jonathan Ferreira, even him, he's barely bowled in the last year, from a domestic point of view. Riza Hendricks, who is a batsman, and I think they're all going to have to bowl tonight because we're looking and seeing a pitch that is doing a lot, that's turning a lot. As Rashid Khan now comes in, I mean, it's a very, very worrying prospect. You've got a youngster on the other end who's ripping it, and it's just bowled your captain, one of the best T20 players ever, almost. And on the other end, you've got now Rashid Khan.
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, we did suggest that we're going to be seeing as much spin in this innings because the Mumbai Indians, Cape Town, have got the pitch and they've got the team to play on the pitch, and I think that's the thing. Joburg Super Kings maybe in their defence perhaps when they start playing some of the games up in the Highveld, they'll start coming back into it. But you'd have to say they're probably looking at the way they've planned for this tournament and particularly for this match, and said we didn't pick the right side.
I think very much missing. Mahesh Thiksana, who I don't think has actually caught up with the team yet. I mean, that's a guy who's played 35 T20 internationals, and he's a proper genuine spinner. And I think that they've really missed him. In sense, so I mean, they're going to be desperate to get him into the side quite quickly to add that proper frontline spinner, because Aaron Pangiso, who was a late addition actually, the wild card pick, hasn't quite been as effective as they'd like. Well, he has picked up a few wickets, but you need a proper frontline spinner for me in any T20 side.
Yeah, and Aaron Pangiso is an interesting character. He's had a bit of a difficult time, of course, with his cricket. But I mean, at one stage he was sort of on the verge of doing big things, but he never really fulfilled his potential. He has a good shot.
Yeah, Jonathan Ferreira has now decided enough is enough, and Rashid Khan's pushed it up quite a lot. Jonathan Ferreira's gone straight over the top. Hit it very nice and straight. First bounty in a while. That first over from Rashid Khan, going for 5, and we will have a strategic timeout, which means that we're also going to move into a bit of a break. We will see you guys, and I think it's about 2.5 minutes is what the official timing is. So we'll move into a bit of a break, and when we come out, we will hopefully see Don Ferreira and Lewis McCloy negotiate a tricky period. But right now, Joburg Super Kings sitting on 48 for 4 after 9. Another terrible start for them. It's a long way towards the likes of 170, 180, which is probably where they'd be looking to try and get to. But we'll see you guys in a little bit. Right, welcome back. And Joburg Super Kings 48 for 4 after 9. And yeah, a bit of a frustrating start once again for the Joburg Super Kings, who are really struggling at the moment to get into games at the moment. And yeah, I think it's a case of them really having to to start better. I don't think it's a hell of a lot that, to change from a personnel perspective, but it's just not really working at the moment, which is becoming incredibly frustrating. So
Well, I mean, it is early, so perhaps they can come back. But I mean, let's think about the scenarios now. If the Joburg Super Kings do lose here, and there's a lot of cricket still to be played. I mean, this is their third, will be their third game. And of course, the MI Cape Town potentially, can go joint top with Victoria Capitals, who I think are anywhere probably going to be on top thanks to their net run rate. Unless there's a big bonus point victory here for Mumbai Indians Cape Town. So that's also possible.
Yeah, and I mean, it's quite annoying when you be talking about a bonus point as a Joburg Super Kings fan.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's a very, but it's unfortunately it is on. There's no doubt about it. So, yeah, but an interesting period area as Waka goes into, and Luke Deploy goes pretty hard at it and carves it out towards that sweep out there. Is Odin Smith, we've yet to see actually with the ball. Joburg Super Kings get to 53 for 4 after 10, and yeah, I think it's been another bad start, but now it's interesting to see how these two go about it. I mean, we're 10 overs in. We need another 120 odd runs, you'd imagine. I'm trying to get up to that 170 mark, 180 mark, really, I think, to be competitive. They've got a very good batting lineup too, MI Cape Town. So yeah,
it would take something special now from the Joburg Super Kings, but someone has to do this. And perhaps these two fellows, we've got the youngster, and of course we've got Used Roy, who has not played any sort of high grade. Played for Willon, he's played for Free State, he's played for the Northern under-19s. He has been with the South African Emerging Players Squad, and he has played for the Welsh Fire. Now, the interesting thing about Luce Deploy is that he is, I guess, based on his figures, pretty much not a bad bet for, I guess, a wild card for T20 cricket. He's played 96 T20 games going into this, and he's striking at nearly 130 and an average of 30 and a half. So he's a handy player.
Well, there it is. Donovan Ferreira goes, and Rashid Khan strikes. Joburg Super Kings day just gets worse and worse, and we're kind of running out of things to say, to be honest. And it's
54 for 5. It's devastating. The slow bowlers have been putting it there, and the Joburg Super Kings just hadn't answered for it.
Yeah,
hadn't answered.
And 54 for 5. Donovan Ferreira goes.
I mean, are we going to see the lowest score of the tournament, which has been, 89 so far?
Yeah, by the Joburg Super Kings. So
yes, yes. Well, yeah. So, what have they got to get to better that 89 from here? I shouldn't be making you feel so sad here, but it's kind of feeling like that, isn't it?
Oh, well, I mean, you know what? At least United won, because the Lions lost, so the Super Kings are reeling. Now, Romario Shepherd's a player I've been quite impressed with, actually. Haven't watched an awful lot of him, but he's come in and we saw him play a nice cameo in that first game. Really sort of provided good support for Donovan Ferreira. But once again, these guys keep having to sort of come onto a rebuilding job without actually having the license to go through it without any sort of major pressure about losing wickets. And it's a difficult time to come back, because, as I said, you want to go out, you need to accumulate runs. You're very far behind where you'd want to be, but I think you have to also be very aware that if you go, there's very little batting behind you. So, and you also, you sit there trying to go after certain bowlers, but who are you going to go after? Because you've got Rashid Khan, one of the best bowlers on the T20 circuit, at one end, and you've got Waka Salamkil, who's turning a square on the other end. You still got the likes of Kagiso Rabada to come back and bowl. Sam Curran's got 3 overs to bowl as well.
Yeah, and I'll come back to KG and the impact he had. He bowled those 2 overs. He took 1 for 5 in those 2 overs. You can't ask for anything more. If fast bowlers have struggled a bit, and we saw Sam Curran go for 9, KG was absolutely amazing. He certainly seems to have hit his straps in this one, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, looked very good from the start. From the first ball was taking off on a length, and surprised Faf du Plessis. She can't go into his first delivery, and Lewis deploy. I think now Lewis deploy now has got an opportunity here. He hasn't played this tournament so far. This tournament, so he's now looking at a chance to really give the coaches something to think about, because they're sitting there watching a top order fail, almost now watching a middle order fail, and now he's got a chance to actually go and put himself in the mix and say, well, you can bank on me. And especially in a pressure situation, as that ball slides past the edge of Mario Shepherd, and Rashid Khan competing a second over, going for 3 runs. I mean, isn't this a perfect time or perfect opportunity to really try and put yourself firmly in that selection mix and make sure that you do become an intricate part of this side?
Well, this is an ideal opportunity, and he's not a youngster, so I guess he's been in similar situations to this before, and we're going to get an idea of his temperament. I actually think that's a wonderful thing about seeing players like this, which have been bought by these franchises, who perhaps we don't know so well. I mean, I'm looking at his figures, and he's got an average of 54 in List A matches. At a strike rate of 87.2. And in first class, he's batting at nearly 50, and his average is 43. So he seems to be certainly a positive player. I mean, a first class average of 43 is, not half bad, but certainly he seems to really come into his own in the shorter format of the game. So he's got a great opportunity here.
Right, and Wakasham and Kill go into Shepherd asking the question, and I'm not interested at all. And yeah, seeing him to, I mean, you usually always talk about getting to 12 overs and then doubling your score. Now they're looking at maybe 60, 70, 62 by the time to get to 12, and double that score is not going to be nearly enough. What is with the 2 batsmen at the moment, as Shepherd goes to the back foot and misses out? What is a realistic target that these guys can get to?
Realistically, I guess because they can't take any risks until we have 2-3 overs left. I guess they'd hope to take single off every ball and possibly pick up a couple more. So if they can get 8 runs an over until the final 3 and then have a dart, where does that leave us?
Well, so it's about 5 overs that you should be doing that 8 runs. So it's about 40 odd runs, puts you to about 100 odd.
100 odd, and then maybe you can pick up 30 in those, 30, 40 in the last 3.
Yeah, so I think 130, 140 is realistically where a well-managed innings would go, unless one of these guys goes ballistic. But we do need to see, I mean, Deploy sitting on 12 of 17, Shepherd 2 of 5, far too many top balls being accumulated by far too many by these players, and it's becoming an issue. The ability to rotate strike is lost almost, and again, for me, it's the lack of intent. We've seen, just sort of plods onto an offside and onside. We're not seeing players aren't they're not going out or trying to score because they're missing out on big shots. There's not much intent there.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm just thinking about the effect of the messages from the dressing room. Clearly, and the one is from the captain. And we were discussing earlier how good Faf du Plessis is as a captain. I mean, typically he gets hired by franchises and often does captain them. So you'd like to think, and I guess you can't assume that he's giving them the messages which normally work, but is it a technical thing? No. I mean, ultimately these players are good enough to have made the auction.
100%. Yeah, it's a difficult one to put the nail on, really. And he's bowled him. Or is that the keeper taking it? I don't know what's going on there. The bail's off. Lewis Deploy standing there. Maria Rasmussen saying everybody just needs to calm down. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, no, clearly
I think
Murray Erasmus isn't either.
yeah, a scorecard guy got a little bit excited there. We saw the flash of the wicket popping up, but I'm not sure. I'm trying to wonder if he's played on here, if he's been bowled, and or if he's
Did you get a lucky one?
yeah, or I'm wondering now if Grant Wilson is not taking the bails off himself behind the stumps.
Yeah, and they certainly don't. They don't seem to be. They haven't asked for a replay, have they?
Yeah, I think we're gonna go upstairs and have a look here. I'm gonna have to because I've got no idea. We've got no idea what's going on.
No, for sure. Okay, let's have a look at this.
Oh, we're slowing it right down.
Oh, they've got to check for the.
Ooh. Is his foot on the line? Oh, no, that's definitely.
Yeah. Wow.
So he's definitely bowled.
Oh, there you go. Bowled.
I think he's definitely bowled, but I would like to look at that that foot on the line there.
I think he went too wide, didn't he? That certainly looks like he's gone really wide of the crease here. And does that foot come down outside the tram lines? Probably going to have to look at this from the front. Here we go.
I was having you looking at the replay here to see.
Yo, his heel is over the side of that line. The front, the foot's not a problem on the normal no ball line, but
oh, but the misses the bat completely. So yeah, Grant Wilson is the man who took the bail off the stumps.
oh well. Oh.
Can we just have a side of view of that, please?
Nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah, so I think he's clearly missed it, and it looks like Grant Wilson taking the bails off with his gloves. So loose deploy should survive.
No ball, gloves in front.
And gloves in front as well, so it'll be a no ball. So it'll be a free hit.
Yeah, free hit. That was really quite an interesting little sequence of play.
Yeah, nobody really. I mean, it was interesting because Lewis deploy didn't move. You know, like the bells were off, everything playing, and he didn't move. He was sitting there saying, "No chance. There's no issue here whatsoever."
He certainly looked pretty calm, and I guess that's.
Well, it's gone pretty high. Has it gone? How far has it gone? It's going to plug up there in the deep. Free hit there for the player, and he's missed out really. I mean, 13 moves up to 14 or 21. It's too slow. He's going to have to catch up here.
Yeah, he really didn't get to that, did he? And he just sent it right up in the sky.
And Shepherd goes onto one knee, sweeping onto the deep. There's a man out there.
I think that's the first sweep that I've seen.
It's interesting. I think you're actually right. We haven't really seen it go out.
And the sweep generally is one of those shots that, you know, in certain situations like this, when you are, you know, under the pump, it can be a pretty safe shot.
That looks much better. There's a man out there, but sweeping in front to square. They're running hard for the second. That's nice and tent. And that's 5 off the over so far. Would really like to see a boundary. You know, make a 9-run over would be very much overdue, I think is probably the correct word.
Yeah, correct. When did we last have a boundary, in fact?
Yeah, it's been a while, and that one's gone pretty fine, and they won't be able to scamper through for a single. Shepherd was half interested, but Lewis is sending him back.
I think that would have been 6 wickets down if they had taken that run.
It would have been a bit of a suicide mission.
64 for 5 in the 13th over. Yeah, high scoring game this.
Hey, well there we go, a bit of innovation, and this hopefully needs to run all the way. It does run away. Well there we go. That's we kind of been waiting for that. He gets onto one knee, does Lewis deploy, and he just paddles Rashid Khan. He bowls quite quickly and does find the boundary, a much needed boundary, very overdue boundary in fact, for Joburg Super Kings. We've been waiting for something like that, haven't we?
We had indeed. Now
it's off the back of his bat. That's incredible.
That's deliberately off.
Yeah, he doesn't even try. He doesn't even try to slip his bat.
Well, now this is something I think that's going to be spoken about quite a lot, actually, because most batters would reverse, turn the bat around to make sure that they got the face of the bat underneath it. But why bother?
Yeah, I mean, and the funny thing is, it's not even like it was an attempt. He didn't even. They literally decided, no, I'm just going to show off the back.
He's just. I think we're going to see other people trying this shot in the future. That is certainly, to my knowledge, the first time I've seen anyone play that shot before. Have you seen anyone play that one before,
No,
Steve?
no, and I've watched many a cricket match. I've played many a cricket match, and that's now a loose delivery from Shaman Kill to around away. And it should be 5 wides again.
It is 5 wides. A bit of
So
relief here for the Joburg Super Kings. They might get to that score.
yeah, and I think
That's
that
already.
the important thing for me is so that's it. I mean, that's a loose delivery, but now he's under pressure. He's just bowled a really poor delivery. It's gone for 4. Capitalize on that pressure.
Indeed. And they've had these have been 2 very good deliveries in a row for the Joburg Super Kings, and potentially they get a third here.
Oh, well, Shepherd was looking pretty big there. Looked like to bring out the booming drive, but beating the outside edge. It's a nice follow-up, actually, from Shankil.
So is that a shot you're going to add to your repertoire, Steve?
I mean, I don't think I was ever going to be able to play an orthodox ramp shot because I think the whole turning the bat was probably the difficult part there. So
Now you've just discovered you don't have to play
no, exactly.
turn the bat around to play the ramp shot.
I've been complicating things unnecessarily for far too long, apparently.
Well, you and every other batsman in the world.
Yeah, at least I'm not alone.
And better. Yeah, exactly. I wonder where they have to find out if that's a shot that he came up with himself and how long he's been playing it.
And that goes wide there from Shankil. And this is the problem. 3 dot balls, it's a good start to the over, 5 runs from it. And then followed up with 3 dots. It's not good enough. It's just not good enough.
Why couldn't he lay the bat on that one? It was short, it was wide.
Yeah, and you just think, even if it's just 3 singles, you're sitting on 7 for the over, or 8 for the over, in fact, if you got into, and then now he gets a single. But I mean, by then you've already eaten up 3 dots.
Yeah, I mean, and it was a decent delivery. So he played the right shot for the delivery, I suppose. And it would have been fine had he played 2 deliveries. I guess better, because he did go for the big shot with the previous delivery, but it didn't come off.
Right, so 2 good deliveries. Loose deploy, full face of the bat there. Getting it out to Odin Smith, who's done a lot of fielding. That's pretty much all he's done for another single. So 7 from the over. This all disappears. It's a decent over, but even a boundary would take this to 11, which is not terrible, but we need a lot more than that.
Yeah, so we've got this is just the 1 delivery remaining in the over.
It's interesting to see how Shepherd goes. After this will be 14 balls, and he's happy to just punch that out. Yeah, I mean, again, it's 7 off the over. It's not good enough. Especially, 5 wides for the first, and you manage 2 runs off the bat. It's poor. It's poor.
Yeah. How many dot balls in this inning so far? Because there've been a great deal.
Yeah, far too many. I mean, I'm looking at it in a moment, and we have a look at the scorecard. Which is just going to update. I mean, George Linder bowled 14. Actually, Sam McKeel has bowled 11, so that's 25. 29 from Curran, 36 including Rabada, 44. No, I lied, 45.
45.
45 dot balls. That's not good enough. That's criminal, in fact.
And I mean, that isn't. We are into the
15th over.
How many overs 15th over. Wow. That's not good. I mean, they'll have more than 60 by the end of the dot balls by the end of the innings if they carry on like this.
And you halve those dot balls and add 30 runs, It
makes a significant difference. But I mean, in defense of the batters at the crease at the moment, they tried to be positive, but I don't think they've been positive to the right deliveries. And of course, they are also conscious of the fact that there's 5 wickets down.
Right. Well, this is a big moment because now pace is back on. Odin Smith comes into the attack, replaces Rashid Khan. First over of the SA20. 26 years old. Played many a 20 T20 game, but I think if there's somebody that they're going to go after, they might look to pay. First thing, Lewis report goes go up, and he's. I think he has caught it. He has caught it. Ryan Rickleton, that is a
Ryan
brilliant
Rickleton.
catch.
Oh my word!
I think he lost it. I think he lost it in the sun, and eventually has to dive to his left. I think a replay of this could show exactly how good this was. And Lewis Deploy looking to be aggressive early up, and he's thrown his wicket away. It must be said, yeah. A bit short, and he kind of just sort of chips it out too long.
I think he got I think he was a little bit hurried by that actually. Didn't quite. Yeah, no. Ryan Rickleton's taken a very good shot, and Ryan Rickleton, interesting, is used to being a glove man.
Yeah, and apparently, basically, that it was actually not on their keeping ability that they decided on who will keep. It was actually who was the better fielder.
Ah, that's interesting. And again, to have someone, these boundary riders, these people who are fast in the field, can get around, have got a good arm to get the ball in, and then also catching. And that was not a half bad catch.
No, that's George Garton comes into the crease with JSK and Will the Travel, 75 for 6, a run rate of 5.29, and Odin Smith, Midas touch there, comes on first delivery of the tournament and gets a wicket of Lewis Deploy, who ate up a lot of deliveries and then tried to catch up and get ahead. But at the end of the day, an innings of 25 is not good enough. I mean, you've batted your team into a hole, and you've not contributed as much. Right, so Garden comes in. He's got an average of 17. He does, however, have 5 T20 30s, and he's got a strike rate of 150. The Super Kings need a 30-40 cameo from him now, desperately.
Yes, if we look at the strike rates of the Joburg Super Kings batters so far, Carl Verreyn at 200, but he only faced the 2 deliveries. Janman Malan 76, Riza Hendricks 33, Faf du Plessis 57, Lewis Deploy 84, and Donovan Ferreira 88. Wow.
Yeah, it's not good. It's very, very poor, and that's the thing. It's losing wickets in batches is fine, but you've got to be you got to be chipping in with some runs. For example, Milan 21 deliveries. If that's an innings of 30, 35 runs, that's not a great knock, but that's contribution. Faf du Plessis with 14 balls. If that's a 20-25, that's a contribution. But 8 or 14 is a lot of deliveries with very few runs.
Well, just to Deploy, who is still there, he's got a chance of getting the Joburg Super Kings to something. And Romario Shepherd has got the shots, but he's not really. They're not coming off for him, are they?
No, he's been trying. He's shown a bit of intent. And as he pulls that from Odin Smith, and there's nobody out there, it will land. It's landed right next to Rashid Khan. He's looking at Kahisa Rabada. I'm not sure he's going to talk about communication, but that's gone miles in the air, and Rabada's basically overrun it, and it's ended up actually falling right next to Rashid Khan. And I don't know if this is miscommunication or if it's an interesting one to see the replay. It was banged in short, and Shepherd has just towed the end of the bat, so threw the shot far too quickly, and they both come steaming in. Rashid Khan stops.
Yeah, yours, mine.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said it was. Yeah. Okay.
Right, so Smith gets a chance, and Garton slaps that ball early on, straight out to Rabada in the deep there for another single. He's 2 from 2. Shepherd on 5 of 12, which is a really poor innings, it must be said. Got to try and catch it. Got to try and find some runs here. But the Joburg Super Kings, I mean, again, you could talk about a pitch that might be doing things, and it will be difficult to see if the pitch is really that bad, because they don't have the spin lining up for me to really extract enough from the pitch. Some fantastic slow ball there from Odin Smith, who gets it through Romario Shepherd. Just 4 from the over so far, 1 ball remaining. I mean, even a maximum over of 10 here is well short of what the Joburg Super Kings need as we about to head into the last 5 overs. Trouble for the Super Kings, and as a bowler, it's frustrating because you're starting off with the back foot and you've got nothing to bowl at.
And I don't think the pitch is particularly
bad.
bad.
My living Ryan Rickleton has plucked that out of the sky with one hand. I mean, he's not part of the crowd, so he won't get a million, but Odin Smith has gotten his countrymate Mario Shepherd's got to go. It's a dreadful shot. I mean, he's just chipped it straight into the colours. The Joburg Super Kings management looking very, very upset with life in the dugout there. It's a great catch. I don't know if it needed to be this complicated. He just punched it in the air, and Rickleton's gone up, thrown up a left hand. It's stuck. And probably safe to say you can see why he's in the field as opposed to behind the gloves.
Well, behind the stumps, yeah. I mean, perhaps it would have been the catch would have been taken, but those are two really, really excellent and athletic catches he's taken. So it's paying off the decision to put him out in the field. And yeah, more misery for the Joburg Super Kings. 79 for 7. That 89 for 10 is still looking like a very real possibility. I'm afraid to say, Steve.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's trying to really irritate me now. And now you've got Alzari Joseph, who should be steaming in and trying to defend 150, and instead he's going to have to try and get us out to 100.
That's right. And again, I mean, he can swing the bat a bit, but you shouldn't be leaving it up to the people here. If he's coming in, you want to have like 150 runs on the board at this stage, and then he can come in and really play the kind of innings which really puts the nail on top. Face 5 or 6 deliveries and get 20 runs. But I mean, he can't afford to play that kind of innings here.
No.
And just as he comes to the wicket, Kagiso Rabada, who was so excellent in his first 2 overs, and really I think it was his 2 overs which started turning the game against the Joburg Super Kings. Until he came on, the Joburg Super Kings had made a great start from those first 2 overs.
Right, Rabada back to the attack, and Garton has carved that straight to middle. So starts the dot here, does Rabada.
Right on the money. Mm-hmm. The ball was there. I mean, it was drivable, but it wasn't. It wasn't a free hit, and the field was set perfectly for that delivery. So,
yeah, I'm blowing to left-handers. He bowls quite well to left-handers as he goes to Garton once again. Fires isn't quite full this time, and Garton catching an inside edge. They scamper through 4 at the single, bringing Alzari Joseph onto strike, who is not known for his batting and shouldn't be known for his batting and shouldn't be relied upon, but it's continued to be relied upon because of the woeful start that Joburg Kings continue to have.
Yeah, no, it's been abysmal. That's really has been abysmal, I'm afraid, from the Joburg Super Kings.
Rabada beats the outside of Alzari Joseph.
Magnificent.
Joseph looking to bring out the booming straight drive and just not getting anywhere near that in the end, actually.
Rabada looks as if he's working up a fairly healthy pace. I haven't seen a speed gun here.
Yeah, it's a great delivery. Its tails were slightly outside edge of Alzari Joseph.
But, I mean, there's no demons in this pitch. I mean, none of the balls have misbehaved.
No, I mean, there's definitely some grip and turn if you can extract it. But, yeah, as I said, I think it's a bad pitch, which I mean, there's certainly aren't cracks or something in that, and keeping low and uneven bounce.
Yeah, exactly. So it's I know Faf du Plessis looked at the pitch as if there was something wrong with it, but you can't describe any of the wickets to the pitch.
Yeah, 100%. Rabada going to do a split delivery of the over, just 2 from it so far. It's looking bad, go bad to worse, and this time Garden just sort of drops it down for Alzari Joseph. He'll scamper through 1, just 2 from the over so far, 1 ball remaining, and just no positive signs really coming from JSK. And it's an interesting time for them now because I think it's the last away game. They've played 3 games away on the trot, and we'll be moving up. They've got so if you look at some of the fixtures, for example. Tomorrow we will see the Sunrise Super Giants taking on Power Royals at Kingsmead in the only game that is tomorrow on Monday. Sunrise Eastern Cape versus MI Cape Town St George's Park. Fired in the Yorker there, and Joseph just gets it out to deep. But then the Joburg Super Kings at home to the table toppers, Pretoria Capitals, on Tuesday at the Wanderers, and I think very important for them that they go out and put in a big performance at home.
Uh, Look, I mean, it's not the longest tournament, and potentially there'd be 4 losses from 4,
Yeah.
which yeah, difficult to see them coming back from that. But we are stretching that a little bit. But as I alluded to earlier, maybe things will be a bit different for them when they are back on the high felt.
Right, we're moving to a strategy break, which means we'll also take a little bit of a break here. We will return very shortly. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new, by the way. Go grab your beverage or whatever. And we'll see you guys in a little bit.
Good idea.
The strategy break. We actually come back into the attack. And yeah, not as we know, well known and well versed, if you've been seeing it, it's not been a good time for the Joburg Super Kings. But Joseph is trying to go after Rashid Khan, and he's picked out the fielder as well. From bad to worse, the message was coming from Stephen Fleming. So I want to imagine, based on the shot, that the message was to have a go.
Yeah, but the Lions, I mean, they haven't got a lot down the order. I mean, Joseph's batting at number 8. Clearly, he was, needed to do a job. But the all-round ability of players, when your team is in this kind of trouble, then you start thinking, oh well, yeah, it'd be nice to have bowlers who could bat some more. But it really shouldn't be, especially in a T20 game, it shouldn't be down to the bowlers to be bailing out their team.
Yeah, we had a discussion yesterday, and we're saying that it's ludicrous to think that they might be sitting in a team selection meeting and talking about, well, do we have to now play, bowlers who are a bit more handy with the bat, and
Mm.
I think in a T20 that's definitely become a thing. I mean, if you look at IPL, for example, all rounders are the premium. And people were saying that the reason that someone like the Brevis Shambi doesn't get an IPL contract is because he doesn't feel particularly well, and he can't bat. And I mean, this is the guy who was the number one T20 bowler in the world at one stage and still couldn't get himself an IPL contract. So I think it is coming to a situation where if you cannot bat at all, it actually does very much limit your value in a T20 side.
Mm. Yeah, for sure. And who have we got to come to the crease
So
now?
Gerald Coetzee is in his first game as well. So I expect to see some rockets from him a bit later. Very interested to see the sort of speeds he'll get up to. But before then, he has to negotiate a very well bowled delivery there from Rashid Khan, coming back in 95 kilometers per hour. That was bowled with a lot of pace and movement as well. Very exciting young player, Joel Coetzee. Interesting to see when we might start seeing in the international circuit.
Yes. And it's a pity, as far as this match is concerned, that, he's going to probably end up on the losing side here. Well, unless he lights up Cape Town and picks up 4 wickets.
Oh, he's going to have to. I'm going to have to see a pretty incredible power play effort if they are to try and bring this team. But Joel Coetzee goes out towards the deep. That should land pretty safe, yeah. I think it was Brevis who was coming inside there.
I just realized that my camera was disabled for some reason. Sorry.
Oh, let's see if we can try and get you back in.
Yeah, no, I should be there. Not that I've got a face. Oh, there you go.
And so you are.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it helps, but unfortunately, I obviously pressed the wrong button. All right.
Right, so Rashid Khan, last ball of the over. So far, has been a wicket and a single 1 run. JSK is sitting at 84 for 8. So I think it was 81 was their former total. So they've gone past the total from yesterday. So there's
was 81.
There's a little bit of improvement, I suppose. And Garton's got over the top.
He's appealed for.
I'm not sure what he's appealing for.
Well, I think it must have been for leg before wicket.
Yeah, and he's asking Miriam Rasmus for tight. I think Miriam Rasmus is saying, mate, I don't even know what you're appealing for.
Yeah, no, I mean.
You're going to go upstairs? I don't think Miriam Rasmus was particularly impressed with that decision to go upstairs.
Well, I mean, Maria Rasmus is one of the best umpires on the circuit, but I mean, he's not infallible. But anyway, that was a very ambitious appeal from Rashid Khan.
Yeah, and we're now waiting to see. He did signal for the review, but we don't seem to be seeing anything actually happening. I don't know. I mean, they haven't used the review, so unless you ran out of time to review.
No, I don't know. No, I'm not sure about that.
Here we go. I was trying to see what's going on. So it comes up there. Yeah, I don't think it gets any bash in it, but I think height will be the issue here.
Yeah. I mean, he'd got.
Edge's not showing anything.
Certainly no bat.
No. I think that's hitting the pad there. I think height's going to be an issue. I mean, he's taking a long stride.
Yes,
he's on one knee, but the pad is pretty upright. It's hitting the top of his thing. So I think it's going. Oh yeah, over was the call. Good call there from Maria Rasmus, who was unmoved, and that is why we hopefully pay him the big bucks.
Yeah, another good decision from Erasmus, who is apparently one of the more entertaining fellows.
Apparently him and apparently enjoys a good drink and apparently a very good laugh.
Well, we know about the laughs from what we see of him in the matches, but clearly he keeps the drinks for later.
Well, maybe he doesn't. Maybe that's just a secret.
The secret to being a good umpire. I think we can.
Oh, he's got him. He's nicked off, and Coetzee goes. Rabada firing it in nice and full. A little bit of movement. Too good for Coetzee. Coetzee gets forward and edges off. 84 for 9. Aaron Pangusa will once again come out with the Joburg Kings is absolutely nowhere. And yeah, I think that the team. I think this is what they're saying. If this is a school team, you know that they'll be doing a lot of laps tomorrow.
And I think, in all fairness, they need to be doing laps tomorrow. I mean, they will be presumably flying back. Well, I mean, you know what? This game's going to be over so quickly. They might even be able to get a flight back tonight because, they're going to be bowled out here, you'd think.
Mm-hmm.
Almost certain. I'm pretty certain. Rabada is bowling so beautifully here. And he's going to end with really, really brilliant figures.
Yeah, and good to see. I mean, we're talking about we've seen a lot of the big South African players really stand up so far. We saw that at spell from Unorthodox here. At Sunrise Eastern Cape was fantastic. Yesterday we saw Jofra Archer with a really impressive spell. Bjorn Fontaine yesterday we sort of ripped through the JSK top order. So it's good to see that the South African players and the big money players, for example, have really pitched up.
No, and that's what you want. I mean, and that is, I guess one of the values of this tournament to, the sport of cricket in this country. And myself, as I said before, I'm not a big, I'm not, I'm still a bigger fan of Test cricket than I am a T20. But this, oh, look at that. He's
Beats the
Aram
inside edge.
Pangiso. Unfortunately, he's your number 11, and he's your number 11 for a reason.
Interesting to see. He seems to have taped over something on the side of his helmet. It'll be interesting to see if that's a sponsor that he's decided to tape over.
Maybe it's well.
Interesting to see what Garton's helmet looks like. As
Nice.
Pangiso manages to almost thick edge there, but almost a bit of a cricket shot.
That's not bad. And of course, they've been teammates, those two.
Yeah. Played many cricket matches with them. I'm not sure how much net practice Pangiso did against Rabada. I certainly wouldn't have been volunteering to go in there.
I think they would have. They probably did some time when they were up on the Highveld together.
Yeah, I'm just not sure how much time Pangiso spends in the nets generally.
That's rude.
Right, Rabada into his fourth and slow ball they Garton out to Rickerton, who fumbles it a bit, and they get through for the single. 190 kilometers an hour. That slow ball there from Kakito Rabada. Having a look at his wickets here, and they've been fantastic. They see that top or off stump from Riza Hendricks was a beautiful delivery. He's then caught the outside edge. Joe could see it.
He's just using the seam.
Yeah.
He's making the ball go track one way or the other based on the seam, and that's ultimately what a seam bowler is supposed to do.
Getting the ball to talk. Yep.
Yeah, so 180 would, I maintain, would have been a good score, which tells us that the score that whatever the Lions are going to get here is going to be, well short of the mark.
Yeah, so JSK really struggling here. I mean, maybe get to 100 would probably be a positive.
Yeah, 3 figures. And with two overs and a delivery. Oh, hang on, we've actually KG Rabada now has picked up quite outstanding figures in this game now.
Yeah, I think it was 2 for 10 or 2 for 9 in 4 was the end there.
2 for 11. 2 for 11, I think. Yeah, he's taken 2 for 11. That's quite outstanding. 2.75 runs and over. And the only bowler who's gone for runs is Sam Curran, who went for those 9 runs in the first over, and George Linder, who went for 25 in his 4 overs. And remember, he had that one dreadful over and then 3, very good overs.
Right, so Sam Curran into the attack. He'll bowl to bowl the 19th, and 2 overs remaining. JSK sitting 87 for 9 after 18.1. And Pangiso, Garton, who just got a edge or fluke their way to anything really. Currently gives past space for Pangiso, and it's out to the extra cover boundary. I think that might go all the way. Rasman doesn't try. It's a great shot.
That's a great shot. And that's actually a shot that the batters up the order didn't do. I mean, he gave himself some room. He chose his shot. He executed his shot, and it came off.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing overcomplicated. He just said, just give himself a bit of room and plays through the covers. And he's nailed it. I mean, he goes to 6 or 5, and 91 for 9. 100 could have suddenly be on the cards here.
Well, yeah, that was probably one of the shots of the innings, actually.
Yeah, Curran follows up with a Yorker. I think a slow ball Yorker if we look at the speaker. Can we look from the looks of it?
Yeah, Pangiso, actually, I know you were making jokes about him and the nets, but he actually has played some, pretty important innings in his time.
Oh, he's got another important one to play here in the last 9 deliveries.
Yeah, and again, I mean, he's going to have a job to do with the ball, and based on what the Mumbai Indian Cape Town spinners have done, he needs to really
Oh,
help
that's
his team when it comes to
brilliantly
the ball.
played by Garton. He gave himself room, and Sam Curran decided to fire the wide Yorker, and Garton just managing to basically just throw his bat out there wide there, and it's gone over the top for a 1 bounce 4. Good over this all of a sudden, 9 from it. I mean, it's about 10 overs too late, but
That was really so interesting because the fact that he still managed to reach that delivery, let alone hit it for the 4, that was pretty impressive. That's why you've got to work on your being supple.
well, there he goes. Go over
Now
the
he's
top, and it's
gone
going over the
flat.
top. I think this will fall safe. It does fall safe, and they'll scamper through for a 1 there. So 10 off the over so far, but it does get over.
Yeah, I mean that was an agricultural shot. He just sort of went flat batted at it, didn't he? And he got I don't even know where he was trying to hit that. Probably back over the bowler's head, but
yeah, just top edge they're going.
Yeah.
And so saying safety between Grant Wilson and the fine leg. Last ball of the over. Right, what can Aaron Pangiso do? He's 7 off 6. He did manage to carve a boundary earlier. Let's see if he can find another one. Gets onto his knee and he just paddles it over the top. Aaron Pangiso, I'm not sure he'll get the boundary. And the ball's still going. No, just starts short. They will get back for 2.
Pretty good save.
A bit of ingenuity there from Aaron Pangiso. And that goes for 12 runs.
I mean, he's got a high score of 29 in T20s.
Well, if you can find that in the next over, I'll be pretty chuffed with life.
Yeah, of course. He's got a first-class high score of 77, and in this day is 68.
A couple of quite a few first-class 50s, I think.
Yeah, eight of them in first class, and 2 in the 50-over game. So, not a complete muppet. As who's the commentator who likes to use the word muppet? Can't remember.
Right, so Odin Smith will bowl the last. He only bowled 1 and went 2 for 4.
Well, he can't take 2 wickets in this over. What would you say about the way Rashid Khan has captained this innings? I mean, things have it's gone well for the team, but has that been down to elements of the captaincy?
I mean, it's difficult to argue the bowling change, for example, the way he's cycled his bowlers. It's a good throw ball there from Odin Smith. I'm surprised that Smith hasn't bowled more. Sam Curran also only bowling 2 overs, but I mean, at the end of the day, your spin was working, so you back the spinners. But I think it's difficult to. Yeah, I don't think we can really say much about it because it has worked so far. I mean, the only bowler not to get any wickets is Sam Curran, but George Linder picked up 2 at the front and got off them to the perfect start, even though he was a bit expensive in comparison. I thought that in the middle overs, Adam Keel bowled really well, and I think that Odin Smith bowled the last, probably good one. Probably could have bowled a bit more, but I think he, was very aware that spin was the way to go.
Okay, here we've seen one signal to wide. I mean, the space was created, and the shot was premeditated, and he did respond, but Smith just put it too wide there.
And that's going to be a wide as well.
That's going to be a wide as well. Yeah, it's
a
slow delivery.
A couple of freebies here for Odin Smith, who's bowled back-to-back extras. And Carson hasn't faced a ball yet. Has only faced 1 legal delivery this over. Hopefully, he can try and find a boundary or 2.
With those 2 wides, the Joburg Super Kings have finally reached 3 figures.
Yeah, 100. First time they've done that since last week Wednesday. It's been a while.
This is their 3rd game. That's right.
Yeah. That's pretty well hit from Garton, but straight to Ryan Ricketson, who does well to hang on to that.
And there's that man in the field again.
He just needs to follow him, doesn't it?
Rickleton. Yep, and he hasn't done anything wrong.
No.
The fielding has been good. There haven't been any lapses in this.
Well, apart from the catch between Rabada and Rashid
Oh
Khan,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Slow ball, and Gardner's heaved it out to the leg side, and Rabada out there at deep extra.
He would have wanted more from that.
He had to get more from that, and that's just a single. So 3 balls remaining. Aaron Pangiso on strike.
I mean, George Garden hasn't done badly here.
A bit of a risky single there, but they do manage to get through in the end. And Odie Smith, apart from 2 wides, is not struggling here.
No. So what are we going to be looking at? We got now what 3 deliveries left in this?
Yeah, 2 deliveries left, yeah. And Garton.
That's a good stroke.
Looking really good. There's a good piece of fielding in the deep. I think it's Dale Brevis, yeah, that managed to cut it off.
That was a good stroke, but unfortunately only picking up the 2. So unless there is a 6 hit off the last delivery, it's going to be less than 110 that the Mumbai Indians Cape Town are going to win. And you have to think at this stage that they'll be looking to pick up that bonus point.
No, 100%. I think you'll see a lot of aggression early up. I don't think they'll try and and is that the end of the innings?
Was that going to be given a, or is he going to be given a wide for that? Because he did turn that into the leg side. No.
Nope, that is it. So Joburg Super Kings finish on 105 for 9, and yeah, not ideal. I think, and disastrous batting effort, it must be said. 105. You're about 80 runs short of a competitive total there, and yeah, lots to talk about in the change room. But at the end of the day, the only thing you can do now is you've got to come back on, and you've got to try and create some early pressure. You've got to try and get a couple of early wickets. So just sort of plant a seed, and just sort of sit there and maybe make Cape Town doubt. You start getting a couple of early wickets, and you can start trying to make them believe that the pitch is misbehaving, which I don't think it really did. But it's not really much hope at the moment.
What kind of interesting points that you've made there, thinking about the start that the Joburg Super Kings got off to, those first 2 overs that they got to 23. And for 2 overs, things were going well for the Joburg Super Kings, but the rest of the innings has really not been going their way. So Mumbai Indians, potentially, if they come out positively, they can have this game wrapped up, inside 10 overs.
Yeah, 100%.
Inside 10 overs, realistically speaking. But if they do lose a couple of wickets, they're going to have to perhaps take it a bit easier. So is there an argument that says just see how you get on in the first couple of overs and how well they're bowling, and don't take any unnecessary risks? Just play simple, good cricket.
No, there's definitely an argument. Whether, for example, someone like Devil, I think Ryan Rickleton will. I think he's a player that plays most balls on the merit, and it's training. I think Devil Brevis is a little bit of a very much the aggressor sort of approach. So interesting to see how he does go about it. But anyway, we're going to have a break now. We'll leave you for a bit. We'll return for the start of the second innings. In my Cape Town have 105, 106 to chase to win. Down in Newlands looks like they should get back to winning ways. Some very good bowling performances, a good all-round bowling performance, a lot of players chipping in. And yeah, we'll see you guys very shortly. If you haven't, please do subscribe to the channel. Please do smash like the video as well. And we'll see you guys in a little bit. Hello and welcome back to Forever Cricket on Forever Sports. And Emma Cape Town are chasing a very measly 105. And yeah, we've got Deval Brevis first up, who failed, and that is a brilliant start from Deval Brevis, who has just cut Garton off brilliantly. Look at the bit of a smile on his face. Immediately a better start from yesterday, where he got bowled by an in-swinging York from Kyle Makers, made his first up, and he's absolutely taken Garton apart here. Garton's not slow by any stretch of the imagination. He's fired in, and Brevis just said thank you very much. Just a nice little short cut and warms a punch. Beats can cover and go into the boundary. Right, so we talked about the fact the bonus point is definitely on. But more to the point, we get to watch this kid bat. How special is this kid? How excited can we get?
Well, I was just going to say to you that here potentially, if he plays as he's proven to play, this match could be over. Not even inside 10 overs.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It could be. Yeah. I mean, he is one of those players. I mean, he truly is clearly a special talent, and it's pleasing to say that there's a number of these specially talented players in this tournament, which is another thing I think it's got going for it. And yes, we don't have access to the Australian players, for instance, because of course the Big Bash League is taking place at the moment. But and you can't really dispute some of these guys like Dwayne Pretorius, who's he's retired from international cricket. I mean, who wouldn't want to go around the world and earn good money playing in tournaments where you get good crowds, you get good entertainment, and you don't have to, if you're a bowler, bowl yourself till your toes are bleeding. And as a batsman, matches are over quickly, so you can reset fairly quickly. And you were talking about it earlier, in terms of going through a rough patch.
Yeah, 100%. And I'd be interested to see if he does, because everybody keeps saying, I'll put him on our test team and stuff like that. I'll be interested to see if he wants to, for example, play test cricket, because as I said, there is a certain amount of, he from a financial perspective, he could play. I mean, he's getting paid stupid money right now. So, yeah, obviously everybody always says, tests is the pinnacle and you've got to play test cricket. But you also sit there going, do you really have to play test cricket,
Well, I mean, maybe this is a different approach. What you do is like a guy like him, he's young. Play 5-6 years of T20 cricket in all the leagues. And then, maybe you've stashed your however many tens of millions of rands. Although if you're sensible, you won't send them back here.
Yeah.
And you establish yourself, and then maybe you have a go. I mean, we tend to think of players and like, oh well, the players who took Kolpak, for instance. If you're a professional cricketer, you're paid to play the game, and if you can't, and modern living is not cheap.
No.
So, we tend to hate these players who why do you put money first?
Yeah.
Well, it's all very nice for us to say.
It's funny how that whole thing of why'd you put money first only ever comes into the equation when it comes to sports, because no other career ever would you sit there saying, no, I'm not going to do it when it's better money, because you sit there going, well, so it's an interesting psychology about it. I think the biggest issue is not so much playing test cricket, but to get into a test team, you have to go play 4-day cricket, and you have to go play like a 4-day series, and you're sitting there saying, right, I would like you to not to play in the Pakistan Super League, for example, or in the Champions Premier League, the Championship one down in the West Indies, which happens at a similar time as I thought. Instead, we need you to come play 4-day cricket to get paid, a pittance compared to what you in the Caribbean.
And to be honest, in South Africa, when we play the first class game, you're going to be playing for the ground staff, your fellow team members, the umpires. And that's it. That's it. Which is sad. I mean, I used to go to first class games, take the family to them, and they weren't a bad day out. But I mean, there just wasn't the atmosphere because there weren't, there weren't as many people. And if you do go to watch live cricket, you want to have an atmosphere.
No, and it's the biggest thing that you got to try and get right is, trying to get people to first class games. I mean, they don't even advertise them. They don't at least now they're semi broadcasting them with a YouTube stream. But yeah, I mean, first class cricket's it's a point. But anyway, we've got Joburg, by the way, who's bowling the second over. The first over going for 7 runs. Brevis is on strike. Joseph goes to him right arm over. Brevis has a trigger movement, flashes out wide, beats the edge. Joseph, I think, pretty pissed off with life in the fact that this is another game where he doesn't have a lot to work with. But from an individual point of view, this is an opportunity for him. You go and get a couple of wickets and stuff like that. Go and get, everybody's raving about this kid. Go and get him. Go get him out. Like Kyle Mays, induct
Well,
New Yorker, bang. Go make a name for yourself as well.
No, indeed. I think it's interesting. I think the Joburg Super Kings also made 7 off the first over, but then they had that there was that messy second over of Sam Curran.
And that's brilliantly played. It's almost textbook shot. That in terms of how to play cut, and it's almost an actual replay of the first boundary. Too much width and just been dispatched by Brevis, so that it races away to the boundary. In Cape Town, 11 for none. You can't give this kid to that. That width, and he just throws his hands through it. It's far. It's a bit of a gimme actually. It's a terrible delivery in the end.
No, and very well executed. I mean, both these shots he's hit to the boundaries, hit into the ground well before the fielder. So that's certainly a sign of immense control. There's nothing risky about those shots at all. He's played them exceptionally well.
Yeah, it's going to his 4th delivery, and that's going to be a wide. Puts it there. So it's interesting because Brevis has got one major area of concern with, and that is the short ball. People are saying that he's gone out to short deliveries quite often, and that's something that he needs to change. So it'll be interesting to see if people go and they try to go the short ball.
Interesting if one thinks about how you can and can't use short balls in limited overs formats compared to the first class game. And, is that potentially an argument you can put forward for people, spending more time in the first class game is, when things are getting grumpy out in the middle, and you can expect to see a lot more balls if the pitch is, doing the right thing, and you start having to face a lot more short deliveries, and you have to cope with them.
Yeah, I think that's what people are saying. That's why they want to play first class cricket a bit, or to go and play sort of other, and play the longer formats, to try and refine that technique. That's always been the sort of the long case, is that, your technique doesn't get tested like it does in the longer versions of the game. But I think, he's going to play a lot of cricket around the world. He's going to get inevitably, he's going to get short balls. I'm sure it's something that he's actively working on. And going and spending 2 months in India, working with some of the best coaches in the world. Mark Boucher's going to be his coach at by Indians. I feel like you could probably solve it without having to technically actually have to go and play 4-day cricket.
Yeah. There's another thing that people will tell you, of course, is it's all very well being in form in the nets and being able to cope with a short ball in the nets, but it's out in the middle where it counts.
Yeah.
But
right, so Joseph has gone 4 wide, 1 wide. So 2 wides in the over. He goes to Rickleton. Rickleton just drops it down to a deep point, and they'll get through for a single. 15 minutes so far. Going at a run, well more than a run a ball at the moment.
Potentially, this is the perfect opening partnership. You were speaking earlier about Rickleton and having all the cricket shots. And then, having somebody with the attitude and the power and the timing and the innovation that Brevis has, who can, really score at a quick pace, to have Rickleton as a foil is perfect.
Yeah, I think Rickleton that's very well played by Brevis. It's a wide delivery, and he kind of just angles it out there. He'll just get he'll get a single in there in the end. Yeah, I think it's an interesting partnership, because I think Rickleton has very much come of age in the last 2 seasons. I think he's become a bit more responsible about his batting. I think he plays himself in a little bit. He understands when to go, when not to go. I think he's refined a lot of the types of shots that he plays. And I'm really excited to see what he can do, because I think he's the form white ball batsman. He's the form batter in the country. It's across all formats. So and I think also it'll be nice to bat with Brevis, who, from a talent perspective, is obviously a lot more talented. But I think Rickleton's someone who's had to really work hard, and apparently is a very hard worker, a very good work ethic. So very different sort of contrasting personalities, but I think it's a nice person for Brevis to bat with in terms of someone who had to work really hard to get there, and has had to understand his game. And because I think something like Brevis, I think it's difficult, and this is the thing, I always had a laugh, at the idea of AB de Villiers coaching, because he's trying to coach people, and people are going to sit there saying, but we can't do what you did. You can tell me how to do it, but I physically, I don't know the hand, like, I don't know the ability to do what you do. I don't know. I mean, I've got limitations. You don't have limitations.
Yes.
So Ryan Rickleton, I think, is now, he knows limitations. He plays to his game. Right, Joel Katsia, they're coming in. Very keen to see sort of the speed guns. A bit of a loosener then. Rickleton just plays out to Jonathan Ferreira up on the boundary. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the sort of speeds that Joel Katsia gets out. That first one, 142, already pretty nippy.
But again, he was. It was a decent delivery, but he played it properly, and he took the single, and guess who's on strike? 5 deliveries to the new AB, as we the DB.
Right, Katsia going to a second to Brevis. Does go pretty short, not as short as he wanted, and Brevis just sort of happy to it was almost a bit of a punch down out to deep square leg. They'll take another single there, so Joel Katsia, and this is what I sort of expected, to see them go to the short ball and just try and see it, just sit there saying, we know that you struggle with this, so we're gonna see if you still struggle with it.
Are we going to see spin soon? I mean, the one thing that was, Carissa Rabada did make a big difference to that, but ultimately it was the spinners. But
yeah, I think we will have to. I mean, we saw how spin was so effective, and yeah, I think that Faf du Plessis, the problem is, I think he doesn't really have an attacking spin. He doesn't have a leggy, for example. Doesn't have someone who's going to really darted in there, and unless he goes to Riza Hendricks in the power play, I don't think he'll really bowl Aaron Pangiso, who bowls quite slowly. Be interesting, but I would like to see some spin in the power play.
Well, I mean, I would, unless they take a wicket, I would say they really have to take some risks, from being as a bowling side, if they are going to have any hope of winning this game, because without taking wickets, they're not going to win this game.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
No, 100%. Because I mean, Emma kept already 19 for none after 2.4 overs. At the rate they're going, they could be halfway to the target by the end of the power play. And they've barely gotten going, to be honest.
No, we discussing this before. I mean, Brevis has played a couple of positive shots, but he's played within himself.
Yeah, now Wexton goes over the top, and there's a lot of space up there. He will find the boundary. Playing on the up, 136 kilometers an hour, and he's just gone straight over just a cover region. Nice shot. Controlled risk. We did go aerial, but I think he knew the space, and he's gone straight over the top there. Just threw his hands through it. Knew that it was never going to be as fun as points. So, yeah, a safe shot actually in the end.
He's really developed. I backed Rickleton to be part of the national setup for a long time. When he first played for the Lions as a youngster, I mean, he was very excited. The trouble was, I think he was a bit inconsistent. If he came off, and then he'd get himself out to some really bad shots. So, that's where you kind of start asking questions about, has this player got the temperament or the game to actually do that? But once again, he's played an excellent shot.
Yeah, played it very late. Back-to-back boundaries now for Rickleton.
Yeah, that was really good. He waited for the ball, played it late, cut it down to third man, and he hasn't got the power of Brevis, but that was a delicate shot. I mean, that was an excellent shot. We didn't see that kind of improvise. I don't want to even call it improvisation, but that kind of thinking about the game. Did we have any shots deliberately played down to third man like that?
I mean, the closest I think was Carl Varand's first. We sort of cut it, but it was sort of point. But yeah, not really turned. And then you can see, I mean, Brevis, you can see the aggression there. I mean, that's just a punch, but it's the aggression and how hard he wants to hit it. You can see that he's got the power hitting of a power hitter, but it's the aggression in which he plays even the most bases of shots. Emma kept on 27 for none, by the way, after 3.1 going along very, very well after those two back-to-back boundaries to end the last over from Ryan Rickleton. In terms of the equation, they need to chase 106 within 16 overs to claim the bonus point, which I think should be pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and I mean, they'll get there at this rate, without having to do anything stupid either. I mean, that's the interesting thing. But spare a thought for the Joburg Super Kings if Rickleton and Brevis stay together, because I anticipate that things are going to get very messy.
Yeah, things can get ugly, and things can get ugly very quickly as well. Right, Alzari Joseph going to just third delivery to Brevis. Bangs it short, and Brevis just sort of gets on top of it and nudges it down. Well-directed short ball, and that's kind of the delivery that they're trying to see whether he can play.
Played that pretty well.
Yeah, got on top of it nice and early. I think the biggest thing for Brevis is the confidence and to remain so confident in your abilities. Because he's not really had a bad spell, he's yet to really have that sort of struggle. He's taken to international cricket like a duck to water. And didn't have maybe the best one-day cup, for example. But he has yet to really struggle in T20. I think that's always going to be the big test when he does not struggle. What will it be like? But they go short, and he's just pulled that out to deep square. They've set a field for short bowling, so I'd expect that to be one of many short balls. I think 149, by the way. Alzari Joseph really getting that up, but pulled quite comfortably in the end. So didn't look too troubled by that, despite the pace.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if he, I mean, he's played the two short balls in the over very well, and he's taken the single there, and that's the trouble. The Joburg Super Kings haven't got the runs to defend, and if they're giving a free single on the pull, it becomes a safe shot if you can play it.
Yeah. Right, Alzari Joseph.
You've been staying up a little bit later, Steve.
Yeah, it's been a long week. Just going to, I mean, I think the match on Thursday, I think finished about 10:30 because we had rain. So yeah, we've been live pretty much every single evening. The last evening was the first evening we hadn't been live, so it's been fun though. I've really enjoyed the tournament. It's been cool to see. I might actually get myself to Wanderers on Tuesday, go through and watch JSK for what apparently will be quite a short fixture.
This is the trouble with sports fans. They, a couple of bad performances and they're ready to throw their team down. Send them all back. Choose again next year.
Listen, as a Lions rugby fan, I think there's many things I can be called. Fickle is definitely not one of them, and patient is definitely one of them. I've suffered through many years of bad sporting teams.
Well, yes, and then there's the whole Manchester United saga, which good result.
Yeah,
I mean you're allowed to.
I didn't get to watch much of the game, unfortunately, so I have to go and check out the highlights. But the result what matters.
Yeah, but there was a 2-1 victory. So sadly, West Ham lost again.
I saw that actually. I saw. It's been an interesting day of fixture. Actually, I think Chelsea lost as well.
They
were 1-0 down at one stage. I saw Liverpool struggling as well. So
yeah, no, Liverpool beaten 3-0 by Brighton. Sure. Can you believe it? Southampton beat Everton 2-1. Yeah.
So Chelsea tomorrow against Palace.
Yeah.
It's been a good day for United, and if Spurs go and beat Arsenal tomorrow, all of a sudden United could be in a bit of a title challenge. It'd be quite exciting.
Well, there you go.
Right, Gerald Coetzee will go to Rickleton. Spurs never went for 10 rounds. It was quite expensive as Rickleton decided to take a bit of a liking to Gerald Coetzee. A very aggressive bowler is Gerald Coetzee. Let's see what he has in store for Ryan Rickleton. And just a length delivery, and Rickleton asking for the single, and Brevis sending him back 141 kilometers an hour. Apparently Gerald Coetzee, they reckon, was getting up to about 150 during the CSA T20 challenge. So really hope that we can start to see some proper pace from him during the tournament, because there's nothing like a proper pacer, especially when you go live and you get to see what that kind of the pace is.
Yeah, that's right.
I could see a second. That's a nice delivery.
Ooh.
Good length, good line, beating the outside edge of Ryan Rickleton. So not just here to sort of acknowledge the good ball, look to reset. He has been the edge a couple of times here, as Gerald could see. Getting the ball to move a little bit. It's a nice seam position, and I think it just does tail away a little bit. Rickleton looking to go straight through the covers there.
Well, what's interesting is that, you've got Brevis, the big hitter, 14 off 14 deliveries, but Rickleton actually outscoring in terms of the scoring rate.
But now Jay can see it to Rickleton, and he will get a single. I think it's a pity. I think if you could see it missed that, I reckon that was going to race away to the boundaries. Well played. Nice straight by Rickleton. Does bring Brevis on to strike. And MK sitting 30 for none. This is the second last over of the power play, so I imagine they're probably looking at 40-45 within the power play. Probably trying to be quite aggressive in the next game. No, next over. Not they need it, but
I mean, at one stage, remember, we thought that the Lions. Sorry, listen to me. The Super Kings needed to be about 46 after the power play. So, yeah, that didn't happen.
No. I could see it to Brevis. Brevis gives himself space and goes way over the top. Has it gone all the way? Has it gone all the way? It looks like it. And is there? Oh, it's a drop catch in the crowd. Someone's missed out on what's probably about 100,000 rand by now. And he can't believe it. He can't believe it. But what a shot that is. Gave himself room, and I mean, it's not even an orthodox cricket shot. He's just slapped this basically.
No, it's not even flat. Yeah, it's not quite flat batted, but he's just stepped away. Yeah,
it's a baseball shot. That's the only way to describe it.
Yeah, it is a bit. But you can see the timing in that. I mean, the way he swings. I mean, you kind of think that he's really hit the leather off that, but he hasn't. He's just timed it so beautifully. Yeah, so someone missed out at their share of the
that is a cricket shot, however. Nice little straight punch. Good throw in the end, actually. Yeah, direct hit, well in there. But yeah, Brevis taking on, and Joe could see, and I mean, and I think that pains you as a fast bowler. You come in rearing in, you bang it in short, and he's expecting it, and all he's done is just clobbered you straight back over the head to 4-4-6. And at your pace, he's basically said your pace doesn't actually mean anything to me.
Well, yeah. So talking about weakness against the short ball, no, it wasn't a particularly well-directed short ball, but Brevis did give himself the space for it.
Yeah.
The room for it. So I mean, if you are going to bowl that short, you need to be hitting that target, which obviously is around the ears.
Yeah, Rickleton now beating the inner circle. There should be at least two. Potentially might even come back for the third. They do come back for three. Well run in the end. Rickleton, nice shot through the covers there. So at the end of the fifth, 40 for no loss. Expensive over there from Kutsia. He has been expensive. He's gone for none for 21 across his 2 overs. We'll go into the last over of the power play. Interesting to see if they do try go spin, or whether they will keep pace on the ball.
Yeah, I think now the horses left at the stable.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really see any way back here for the Joburg Super Kings. And the interesting thing about that final shot, that was 3 runs, and I was speaking about the fact that the Super Kings in their innings just simply weren't taking finding those gaps and playing the right shots. Rickleton gave it a push, he found the gap, and it was comfortable 2, and they turned it into 3.
No, it's just, and yeah, good running is very underrated. I mean, the equation is 66 off 90 balls. I don't even think that's the equation we're looking at. We're now looking at sort of just the bonus point, really. As it looks like it will be pace to continue. No, Aaron Pangiso will come in. So the Joburg Super Kings premier C spinner, it must be said at the moment. The banker, as he's known across the
yeah. But I mean, in terms of what he brings, as he's a left arm. He's a left armer, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he basically, his stock ball essentially will be trying to, well, and now he's bowling to a left-handed batsman.
That's good stuff. Pangiso, I said, very slow. 84 kilometers an hour. Not a lot of pace on the ball, which means that you do have to get it well hit if you want to get it away. Has a knack for picking up wickets, though. That is why they call him the banker, because he has been around the block and he brings that experience a lot, and has a knack for picking up a wicket or two.
Yeah, and he's not the biggest spinner of the ball, But yeah, and you think someone who bowls it so slowly, you've got a lot of time to consider what's coming to you, and you'll have plenty of time. But he has a pretty decent record.
Not sure what the issue is here. You've got to break him. One of the power arc. Really, the power of one of the lighter towers has gone down. Probably load shedding.
Yeah,
Or at
maybe
least, or coming back from load shedding or whatever.
Yeah. Maybe they are having load shedding and something's gone wrong with the maybe there's a generator. I don't know what they have.
Yeah, so I mean, again,
down
the
at
play is
units.
going to continue. I mean, it does look pretty light there. I mean, it's Cape Town. That's a pretty poor delivery from Aaron Pangees. He's got away with that. He's gone down the leg side, and Rickleton tried to get onto his leg and sweep it, but missing out there. And I think actually, he can't make contact with the bat, so it wasn't even a wide. So Pangees has gone 2 dot balls so far. He goes to Rickleton for his third. Rickleton this time just heading on to the long on. Will take the single, take the strike. Interesting to see how Brevis goes. He is very much well known for really taking a liking to spin and can dispatch spin with ease. So it'll be interesting to see if he, especially in the last over the power play, plenty of gaps, only 2 men out. He's got a lot of options here for boundaries.
But this is where it could get messy with Brevis, Pangiso to Brevis. And maybe this is one of the banker comes on and dismisses Brevis here, then.
Yeah, a bit of turn there actually. And Brevis happy to just tuck it onto the leg side. Yeah, I think the main thing is not taking any risks, unnecessary risks. They're well ahead of the rate.
Well, I mean, how important is the bonus point? I mean, you have to be targeting the bonus point, but how important is it for the Joburg Super Kings to try and say, well, we're not going to win this game, but can we prevent Cape Town from getting the bonus point? Because ultimately, yes, you're so far behind them in the table, but if you prevent them from picking up an extra point, it means you've got one less point to catch up. When you eventually decide to start winning games.
Yeah, so I mean, it's difficult. The problem is, I mean, you got what? You got 10 overs now that they have to make them bat another 10 overs, and you need about another 100 runs. No, I mean, not even that. You need 60 runs. So
yeah,
I think even with bonus point, I think it's pretty well in reach, and it's difficult because you want to try and prevent runs, so you have a defensive field, but you're not going to take any wickets there, right? So the power play is 43 runs, and more importantly, no wickets lost. The perfect power play, really, for me, Cape Town, and they can actually really afford to get going now. They've got batsmen in the shed. They've got 43 runs. They're almost halfway there already, and I'll be interested to see if they look to play it around, or if they do start to look to try and be quite aggressive. Interested to see who will come into the attack here as they signal the end of the power play. Riza Hendricks, I did wonder if we might see him have a bit of a bowl, part-time bowler. Bowled very well in the One Day Cup final a couple of weeks ago, and bowled a very nice spell in the first game as well. So yeah, it should be interesting to see how it goes here.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only real option left to Faf du Plessis, isn't it? He needs wickets. Someone's got to give him wickets.
Brings up the reverse sweep immediately. Does Rickleton. It's a good stop over there by Zari Joseph. I think they did get through for the single, but immediately looking to go after and bring out that reverse sweep, trying to beat the inner ring. Rickleton sitting on 20 of 20, Brevis sitting on 22 of 17. And look at his career. He's taken 4 wickets in his T20 career. Across 170. He's got the best of 1 for 9, which I actually think was on Tuesday. It doesn't bowl a lot of deliveries though.
No. And this, unfortunately, is an illustration of what you said early in this match is, in terms of the team or the squad that the Joburg Super Kings have, definitely shy a quality spin bowler.
You look at Faf du Plessis' shoes. Always one for the fashion is Faf. Tries the reverse sweep. I don't know if he got anything on there. It's beating the keeper as well. That'll run away for 4. It's going to be 4 bars, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 4 bars. That certainly looks like.
Oh, we missed. Yeah, for 4 bars is the decision. Yeah, so also looking to bring out the reverse. He won't turn it a lot. He just completely misses that, and Calvert probably has to do better than that, to be honest.
Well, yes.
Gets the line and misses up P, but I think by the time it hits him, I think he's actually well outside.
Yeah, yeah. That was my thinking. He's not bowled badly here. You know, I mean I mean that wide doesn't go against him. I mean that's not you know, that's against the keeper. So, and also another fairly decent delivery there. A dot ball. Rickleton failing to did he even make contact with that one?
No, he's not what I said. The bars are annoying because you know that's from Calvert Rain, but yeah, that's not a bad first over. Actually, I mean, it's you know, he's gone for 2 runs off the bat there, so 0 for 2 technically is Riza Hendricks, despite there being 6 runs in the over. But that wasn't bad at all. It's interesting how much he actually might bowl this tournament, given the fact that they do lack some spinning options. I mean, I've seen spin doing a lot of work, especially down in the coastal venues like the Kingsmead, Klerga, as well as Cape Town.
Yeah, it's going to be, I imagine, different up on the Highveld. But then the Wanderers has the tempo of the Wanderers has been through some rough times in terms of the pitches there. So that's in terms of the preparation of the tracks. Because remember, you know.
Oh well, there it is, the trademark no look, and that is enormous. It's into it's. I mean, it's smashed against the hotel. And
yeah, no, I mean, are you allowed to join in the catching fun if you're not even in the stadium and you catch it with one hand?
It's open. I mean, but it's that. I mean, it's raw power. It's massive. It is huge.
Yeah, I don't think they anticipated that things would go quite that far.
Yeah, and it's the no look, eyes closed even as he hits it. And now he's gone to the right hand side and he's going to carve that out to the sweeper. Brevis moves to 29 or 23. In my Cape Town up to 56, 50 up. In my Cape Town coming just 7.2 overs, and this game could be very, very close to being done. To be honest, I think we could. There we go. So that's the biggest 6 so far done for 104 meters. Brevis second with 99. Parnell headed 98 meters, 6 Miller 97, and Shepherd 96. I think we'll see a couple more 100-meter 6s coming throughout the tournament as well. Hopefully, the likes of Stubbs getting involved there.
Okay, so Pangiso again here. Rickleton on strike.
Gives himself room. It's a partial stop there from Riza Hendricks, which might actually allow them to get back to the second. I'll just take the single. Yeah, brings Brevis back on strike.
That's yeah, unfortunately, the Joburg Super Kings are. It's not going their way at all.
No.
I mean, to have any hope, they needed to get some wickets, and they haven't done that. So it's. And you'd imagine that Brevis is going to start getting a little bit tired of being so circumspect, because he has been relatively circumspect, you know, compared to the kind of fireworks he can bring to the party. Yeah. Look, he doesn't have to.
No, he doesn't have to. Yeah. But I think he is a player that takes great pride in his ball striking abilities. He's gone over the top. And it's sailed over as well. Alzari Joseph, well, if there's one person who's going to be tall enough to be able to catch it, was Alzari Joseph. And that's also, I mean, that's just pure timing. You know, and hasn't overhit that. It's a lot of power, and he's dispatched Pangiso twice this over now.
Yeah.
I don't think he got all of that either. I mean, Alzari Joseph. Well, I wonder if Alzari Joseph is going to find himself a couple of yards off the boundary, actually.
Well, you can perhaps wonder about that position.
I'll tell you what, I reckon he'd be standing on the boundary. I reckon he's in there.
Yeah, but that comes down very much to the kind of awareness.
And now I'll just get down to the pitch and run through for the single. Right, so Brevis moves on to 37-27. In my Cape Town 64 for none after 8, chasing 106. So literally about 42 runs still left in the match here.
I mean, potentially 2 or 3 overs if Brevis decides that he wants to get back to the change room. So who do you go to as the captain here if you're Faf du Plessis for your next over? Riza Hendricks bowled a tightish over. Do you keep him on, or do you really bank on taking a wicket? But who's going to get you a wicket? Who's the most likely of these bowlers we've seen by the Joburg Super Kings of getting a wicket?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it does look like it's going to be Pacer. So you could be looking at bringing Mario Shepherd in, who we haven't seen bowl just yet. You know, the other options are, you know, a Jonathan Ferreira, but it's seam up, so doesn't look like it's him. It's Gerald Katsia. No, so Gerald Katsia will come back into the attack. 0 for 21, and I mean, he's been expensive so far. But I think Faf du Plessis desperately searching for a wicket and hoping that he can a bit of extra pace can do the job.
Yeah, let's see. There's quite a lot of wind.
It's good length there, and Brevis showing the full face of his bat and just punching it out to the cover, taking a single, bringing Ricketson back on strike, we haven't seen too much from Ricketson in the last couple of overs.
No, it's quite interesting that, and of course the difficult thing from the bowler's point of view is there's, you know, the batsmen aren't under the same kind of pressure as if you had runs on the board. You know, here they're quite happy to block off a couple of deliveries, or you know, or even let them go past the outside edge. I mean, you don't see that, and I mean, drop the bat. You don't see that much in T20, but that literally is, you know, if someone starts bowling a really ridiculously brilliant spell, you know, you can let them do that and not have to take risks against them.
Yeah, 100%. It's much better over so far for those two balls. It was single, it's a dot and a single, but hitting a nice length, hitting a nice line. Interesting there. I mean, he didn't play the first two games. I thought it was a bit strange. I thought, you know, they obviously, you know, very much bought him for the high fault. When he's going to get a lot of carries, going to get a lot of bounce. That pace, that extra pace of his. I mean, it's going to be an absolute play. That's why I want to get down to Wanderers on Tuesday, because you're going to be able to see the likes of an Unorthodox steaming down that Wanderers end. You're going to see Gerald Katsia for the Super Kings. There should be a lot of pace on offer. It goes quite full. I think it looked like pace off there. I think he's just rolled his fingers over that ball. And Ricketson has missed out on the slow ball. Interesting to see what that speedo says. 115 kilometers an hour. That's a very big change of pace from 142.
And so and Ricketson didn't seem to pick it up at all. So this has been an excellent over. Not many bowlers do bowl with a sweatband. I see John Katsia's partial to the sweatband.
Yeah,
what are the old school cricketers used to?
Stuart Broad, still is. Oh, that's gone straight up from Ricketson. This could be the break they've been looking for. Is there a man underneath it? Safe hands there from Alzari Joseph. Look what it means to Gerald Katsia. They've been taken to the cleaners a little bit, but he's got the breakthrough. It's a good catch from Alzari Joseph. I think he had to make quite a lot of ground. A bit of rash from Ricketson, but I mean, why not? You can see a shake of a head, and I think the words there that coming out of his mouth were something along the lines of a shit shot. But you can see a bit of extra pace there, and he just gets completely on. Goes mile high in the air. Alzari Joseph gets to a good position, almost actually gets away from it. Look at the celebration for Gerald Katsia. I think he enjoyed that.
No, I mean, and it's a bit sad actually, because you know he's still going to end up on the losing side, but you know he's got a wicket and he's been rewarded because he has bowled a really good over, and you know we spoke about not having to take the chances, but I guess Ricketson just got a little bit impatient, you know, and he went for the shot. He didn't have to, but it's hardly a train smash for MI Cape Town because they got plenty of in the tank.
Yeah, I think frustrating as a bowler because, you know, you're sitting there thinking, MI Cape Town sending 65 for 1. They're going at 7.5, so they're going well, but you wouldn't be unhappy. If this was the first innings, you'd be sitting there going, yeah, I mean, Brevis is going well. We've got the breakthrough now. Open up a bit of an end. We can try and tie them down. Like, you wouldn't... I think if MI Cape Town were batting first, I don't think Joburg Super Kings would be stressing. They wouldn't be sitting there going, "Oh, they've got that." You know,
No.
it's not been out of control, and that's frustrating for a bowler because that means that you've not done a bad job necessarily. You've just got a wicket as well, so you've done what you needed to do, and yet the game is well lost, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, you look at that the overall run rate. what is around about 7.5 and over. And you'd be happy with that as a bowling side, as you said.
Yeah, so I mean, the only thing now really is try and see if you can pick up a couple of other wickets. Try and. So I said the other day. I said at the end of the day, if a game's lost from a personal point of view, try and prove yourself. Try and go and show your captain you can execute. Show them that you're a fighter. Show them that you're not somebody who's going to give in too easily. The worst thing you can possibly do, especially when you're about to get probably hammered, is to give up and show sort of a very defeatist attitude because. I think people remember that. I think people can acknowledge and people can respect a player who goes down fighting. And like Joel can see it now, he's running in, he's trying to run, he's trying to bowl fast, he's trying to make things happen. He has made something happen.
And now, what do you do in the strategic timeout? How do you pull things back? What is going to happen? I mean, what can you do in the strategic timeout?
Yeah, I think probably just. I think it'd just be saying to the guys, right, guys, we haven't started as well as we wanted to. New batsman at the crease. Let's just up the pressure, up the ante a little bit. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can, buy a few wickets, maybe make them sweat a little bit, or at the very least, yeah, just try and execute a few plans.
Rassie van der Dussen comes to the wicket. He'll be hoping to get some runs today, and what better opportunity to do it? There's no real pressure. He can have a couple of look-sees. He hasn't been in the greatest of form. He was, in the Test series, he was essentially dropped after after that first match. Look, the whole team was poor then, and he hasn't really. I'm thinking, how many runs has he made so far in the tournament? Not many.
Yeah, I think he had a couple, but nothing spectacular so far. He does go to Van der Dussen. Oh, he squares him up beautifully. That is a brilliant delivery from Gerald Coetzee. 143, Rassie van der Dussen just dabbling out. So this looks like a bit of a highlight of the Australia series, and he's just squared him up. Has he missed? I don't know how he's missed that edge. That is an absolute corker from Gerald Coetzee there.
Yeah, Gerald Coetzee is looking really, really good here, isn't he?
Yeah, this over he's had much better rhythm. I think he's hitting a nice length, he's hitting a good line, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see a short ball here to end.
Yeah, I mean, and if he can get it, directed properly, because that last ball, which was flat batted.
No, he goes straight, and you can see a hand on the head. I think he knows. I think he thinks if he's missing the bat there, that he's in trouble. A really good over from Gerald Coetzee. Just the one from it, and the wicket of Rickleton. A fighting over from the young pacer.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, you spoke about. I mean, he really looks like he's into it. I mean, he still believes there's something. Well, he probably doesn't believe it. He certainly believes he wants to show his best. Exciting player. Interesting if we compare the batting strength of the two teams. So we've got Sam Curran, who's got the all-round skills, Grant Rulifson to come in, Delano Potgieter, Odin Smith, George Linder, who can, he's a decent batter. And then you've got Rashid Khan, the captain, who's reasonably handy. Kagiso Rabada, we know he can hit a couple of big shots, but he's not a batter. So in terms of the actual, the tail, compared the tail of the Joburg Super Kings to the Mumbai Indians Cape Town, and you have to say, I think you should say the Joburg Super Kings certainly have a weaker tail, which would suggest that ergo they should have better bowlers, right? But yeah, it's not work out that way.
I think but I think genuinely, I think if you look at the top order, for example, on paper, Jan Milan, Riza Hendricks, Faf du Plessis compared to Brevis, Rickleton, and Van der Dussen, I don't think there's a massive golfing quality there. I don't think there's much in it. I think Jan Milan Jan Milan, Riza Hendricks, and Faf du Plessis are all proven international players. Rickleton is yet to be an international player. Brevis is uncapped. I mean, Rickleton's played a couple of tests, but Van der Dussen the only one who's actually made on the international scene. So in theory, you sit there thinking that the Joburg Super Kings have a more tried and tested top three. And yet, MI Cape Town are getting off to decent starts. Well, yesterday they got to a good start. And the Joburg Super Kings have lost 11 wickets in 3 games during the power play.
Yeah, and I think that sums it up completely. There really is no way back after that. So well, I suppose if one thinks about it, then it basically comes down to the kind of form the
Oh,
batsmen are in.
well, the
Oh,
short
that was
ball
a good
there, and
delivery.
that Rose. Oh, and I directed, and I think he could have been in trouble as well. Well directed bounce there from Alzari Joseph. I think just climbed on Brevis and yeah, couldn't really get on top of it. And the ball did pop up. There's nobody really in that sort of short cover, almost gully region, really. But yeah, only the first ball you've seen has actually really troubled him. I would say.
Well, I mean that's a sign maybe that what is said about him and the weakness against the short ball is a thing, because you would know if he was playing in a first class match, there would be somebody there for
Mm,
to take that kind of opportunity. Based on that kind of reputation, you definitely have that person there. But in T20 game, you can get away with certain vulnerabilities because you have a certain amount of protection just by the nature of the game.
yeah, 100%. So it's been a decent open from Joseph. It's been nice pull back actually in the last over. You think there's only been 4 runs in the last 10 deliveries. So it's been a nice fighting comeback from Joseph Kings. It is too little, too late. Really.
And of course, Joel Kutsia's over was excellent as well.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what happens. I think it's if in theory, you wouldn't bowl him out, but right now you might as well. I think he's just bowled a really good over. He's got one left. You don't need one for the end, really.
No, you're not. It's not going to help you anything. I mean, you basically need to have your best bowlers until they've hit the winning runs,
Yeah.
because that's what's going to happen. So um, your only chance of, I guess, restricting them in terms of picking up that bonus point is actually to take some wickets. I mean, you see, Riza Hendricks only bowled the 1 over and it went for 2.
Mm.
So maybe there's an argument for saying you should have kept him on, because everyone else is, Alzari Joseph, in the context of the game, is, at going under six runs to the over is, it's a good spell, but it's, he's going to end up on on the losing side.
Yeah, I think that's it. Very see the bowling. That's a pretty poor short ball there. He couldn't end the over. Would have been a really good over. He's banged it in short. It's gone down the leg side. Brevis happy to just watch it go. Certainly, that is the tactic to try and to test him under the short ball. But unfortunately, that one not particularly well directed.
So, yeah, that'll be his third wide, I think. So, again, we were speaking about I mean, again, at the beginning of the Joburg Super Kings innings, the 3 runs that were on order for the Joburg Super Kings, which gave them more runs in those first couple of overs than they actually deserved.
Yep. So Brevis just getting a 2 towards the end of 42 of 31. We could have a Brevis 50 on the cards. Yeah, it's just eight runs away, which would be a second in 3 games. I mean, he's a little bit of an all or nothing player, isn't he? When you think that he went 50, duck, and now potentially another 50.
Well, I mean, what do you expect from that kind of play? I mean, potentially, someone who plays the game that way, there's always the potential that they may go for a low score. And I think maybe that's the kind of thing that Ryan Rickleton, has put into his game, is in terms of sort of balancing risk and reward and sort of getting the balance right. I mean, I think inevitably Brevis may or may not, start coming up with ways of sort of tempering his natural aggression to, try and prevent, the early failures.
Mm.
Although, as a coach, with someone like that in your side, I mean, I guess you don't want to be, restricting them in terms of their freedom to play the game as they see it.
Yeah.
Because as it is, he's scoring at the rate and getting the runs, and if he fails once in a while, well, everyone fails once in a while. But if in the other matches he's batting it over, he's averaging over 30 in this form of the game, and he's batting at 150, well,
No, you can tolerate a few failures, and also and this is the funniest thing. Cricket and batting is a game of it's a game of failures. As a batsman, you will fail more than you succeed. Unfortunately, it's a very strange dynamic because you tend to fail more than you succeed, and that's why the best players are the ones that can. Even the best players are, succeed. They just fail less. They're still not. I mean, you're averaging 50, for example. There's plenty of ducks in there. There's still plenty of 20s in there. Still 20 or 30s are there, but you've got a couple of hundreds to pull it up. So you do fail a lot. Even the best batsmen in the world, you fail a lot as a batsman. And I think the biggest thing is you judge your batsmen by how many times they can succeed in between those losses.
Yes, indeed, and that's what. Oh, he's tried to
And
ramp that over.
Is just that's come off.
Oh, that's a shocker.
It'll be another bye. It's really frustrating. And that's what about 5 or 6 byes now. He's gone with the slow ball there, and Brevis missing out, and Calvert not picking up, and just coming off his. It's almost a bit lazy and actually from Calvert. Yeah, it's a really good slow ball. Just misses out the stumps. And he's completely
Okay, I mean, I guess maybe he could maybe say that the kind that it bounced. It was a bit of an odd bounce that it went to him on, but still not good enough.
Right, so Coetzee obviously has continued now. He is 4 balls into his final over, trying to search for that wicket, search for that breakthrough.
Brevis not taking any risks. He's turned that down onto the leg side, easy single. Was that Van der Dissen? Oh yeah. Oh no, Van der Dissen is on strike now, right?
Yeah, and I think Brevis strike at the moment.
So that was Van der Dissen. All right.
Yeah. That goes short once again. That's a really good short ball. That's a really good short ball. 144.
Yeah, that. And Brevis, yeah, I think there's something to be said about him and the short ball. A well-directed short ball it certainly looks like it's a really good delivery to Brevis. An ill-directed short ball, that is almost certainly going to be given a bludgeoning.
Yeah, 100%.
But well-directed.
Right, the last ball of Joe Coetzee's spell. Bangs it in short, and Coetzee and Brevis has said, "Thank you very much." I don't think all of that though. That's out. He's won the battle. Look what it means to. I love it. I love it. It's a dying cause. It means not much in the context of the match, but he's absolutely pumped, as Gerald could say. He's won the mini battle. He's gotten the wicket of Brevis. His last 2 overs went for 4 runs. He got 2 wickets. What a comeback spell from Gerald Coetzee. Bangs it in short. Brevis doesn't get all of that. It's a pretty simple catch in the end. Mass celebrations of Gerald Coetzee. He's chuffed as Larry that he's come and he's contributed. And good for him, really.
Yeah. What if? What if there were runs on the board?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, I mean, one thinks of the impact that Riza Hendricks had as a fast bowler. He had excellent figures, and Gerald Coetzee has come in and done an almost as good a job as Riza Hendricks, I would say. Perhaps he's gone for a few more runs, but he bowled at a different time in the innings. The batsman had already was set, so good outing by him. Yeah, 2 for 24.
Yeah, so a bit expensive in his first 2. I think his first 2 were like 2 for 19. So and those bars obviously not going against the bowler. So I actually think I think it was actually about 2 for 21 in his first 2. So yeah, I think he went for three runs in his next 2 and took 2 wickets. So a very nice comeback from Joe Coetzee.
And no wides and no no balls. So a good spell, very good spell. Pangiso is now back into the attack. And he's bowling to Van der Dissen.
Right, so the banker coming in hasn't banked a wicket yet.
No, Van der Dissen strokes that into the offside.
Right, now we're talking about bonus points. Now, at the end of this over will be 12 overs, so not far to go. But all of a sudden, I mean, to get that bonus point, I mean, there's what, about
They need to,
40 runs needed in about 4 overs, 4.8 overs.
yeah.
Sorry,
So
4.4
so
overs.
maybe they, yeah. So well, Brevis can do that in 2 overs, of course, but he's not here anymore.
No, so I think Grant Wilson will probably have license. I think they'll tell him that you can go out and go have a dip ball. Batted very, very nicely yesterday. I'm a big Grant Wilson fan. I also think that he's one that's going to that will play priorities and play many game priorities. I think he's very underrated. His numbers are very good across all formats, particularly in the white ball. I'm a big fan of his.
Which
He's just
which is
another edge.
Which is an interesting discussion when you talk about how you pick a side, because there's a number of wicketkeeper batsmen on display in this game. We saw Ryan Rickleton, who didn't play as wicketkeeper, tactical move because they thought he's better in the field. And now, if you think of someone like the story about maybe Rickleton being in the team, Verena's the test wicketkeeper at the moment. You've got, in terms of the T20, I mean, you've got obviously, Quinton de Kock was the test wicketkeeper, and you've got, I can't remember his name. Red hair, help me out.
Carl Verreynne.
No, not Carl Verreynne. The Titans guy, man.
Oh, Arnold Clausen. Oh,
yes.
Pops up. Oh, doesn't carry. Oh, Banker almost getting involved there. It wasn't just too early on the shot there. It's popped up. Arnold Clausen.
Yes, that's right. So, I mean, are you choosing batsman? Are you choosing a wicketkeeper? Are you choosing a wicketkeeper batsman? Clearly in T20, you need a wicketkeeper batsman.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because somebody the other day was brutalized on Twitter because they basically laughed at the idea of playing Ryan Rickleton. They said you can't play Rickleton because Carl Verreynne's playing, and the entire Twitter was saying, but you can play him as a batsman. Just because he's a wicketkeeper doesn't mean he doesn't and he's had the best domestic stats by country mile. He's just made like back-to-back double centuries, but you're so adamant that because he was a wicketkeeper couldn't play, and it was a really weird concept that if he's good enough to pick his batting alone, and we've seen how Ryan Rickleton's a good fielder, there's certainly merit that wicketkeepers don't have to be wicketkeeper batsmen; they can just be a batsman as well.
Well, I mean, ultimately, if you're getting the scores, and we look at a guy like A.B. de Villiers, who was a pretty decent wicketkeeper.
Yeah.
And there was a stage, and it was one of those things where he took it on because the test side was battling a little bit, to be able to play an extra batter. I mean, when we talk about South Africa and the all-round abilities, wicketkeeper, especially when it comes to Test cricket, is an all-round slot. And that's A.B. de Villiers was that really really powerful all-rounder. Adam Gilchrist for Australia was an incredible all-round cricketer in those terms. So I guess in modern cricket, you can't really pick someone because they're a really good wicketkeeper. They have to have pretty decent batting skills.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's I think gone are the days where you're a specialist keeper. I think it's as I said, they almost rather convert a good batsman into a keeper than just have a good clubman. And I think as this has got straight up, it's going to land safe as well. Gets that scoop completely wrong against Alzari Joseph. Something like Mangaliso Masetle, who is still rated as one of the best glovemen in the world, but just doesn't have the batting stats to justify being picked, and he's kind of been lost in the system because he couldn't crack it with his batting enough. But still a phenomenal gloveman. Yeah,
it doesn't really look as if the Zimbabweans Cape Town are actively trying to target this bonus point now.
Yeah, it's 78 for 2, 28 for 46 is the equation. Good delivery there from Zali Jones. A couple of dots creeping in. Yeah, look, I reckon you probably find they'll just try and rotate the strike, get themselves to about 14 overs, and then say, right, we've got 2 overs, what do we need? And if it's 12 or 15, they'll might as well have it go. But you can be quite safe for the next 9 deliveries. Get yourself another 10 odd, get to 88, and then say, right, now we've got to just accelerate them between us and the rest of the lineup. Let's see if we can find those boundaries needed.
Yeah, and one thing is Rassie van der Dussen, he has been criticized in the past, and he's playing that way now. Is he sometimes takes a while to get going in a T20 innings.
Well, as you say that, he has beaten the field there. But yeah, I think the biggest thing about him is that they always talk about the fact that he catches up, and it's fine when he catches up, because he can be the type of person that could be on 50 or for like 75, and then he could be on 80 or for 100 type thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he played that really well.
Yeah, in fact, Plessis a bit annoyed about that. I think he hadn't got there. It's a bit of a pressure release, I think, that shot.
I think what was very good about that from Van der Dussen's point of view is that he actually chose his spot, and he found it. And he was, I suppose, a little bit lucky in terms of the misfield.
Yeah, and now we're going again. This time, got straight to Faf du Plessis. He does have a shy at this time, and as you'd expect, does hit it. He's just an incredible cricketer, Faf du Plessis.
Yeah, he's a bit of a grumpy cricketer right now.
Yeah, not very happy with life. Definitely have a couple of glasses of wine later to try and soothe things out. But look, to be fair, I think in a situation like this, you can't really blame anybody, because he also fell at the top of the order.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you'd have to expect, as the tournament goes on, his contribution with the bat will end up being quite significant.
Yeah,
but it just hasn't been a great start for the Joburg Super Kings.
No, so I mean, he had a reasonable knock on that Wednesday. Didn't do anything yesterday, didn't do anything today, but he's got so much quality, and we know that he still has the form. I mean, you look at this IPL last season, and it was phenomenal. I mean, he's looking potentially. I mean, I think he's 1,200 runs short of 10,000 Test runs. I'm sorry, T20 runs, which is mental.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't talk about Test runs and Faf du Plessis anymore.
No, it should be. Still walks to our Test side.
Or to be fair, about international T20s either.
I mean,
although maybe that'll change. Maybe that'll change in the new under a new coach. Watch this space.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to sit there and say, listen, if you're playing one-day cricket and you're in good form, we'll take you to the World Cup. Because I mean, yeah, I still think he walks into any of our sides.
Yeah, I mean, there was that one messy thing. If one thinks about AB de Villiers, and his sort of want in, want out, which it was a bit caused unnecessary distraction before the one World Cup. Remember?
It was the last World Cup. Yeah, when he sort of made himself available like right before the end. I think the biggest frustrating thing is that Faf du Plessis is available. He's not retired. That's the weird thing.
No, exactly.
He never, and he sits there saying, do you miss your international career? He's like, well, I'm not actually retired. I'm actually available. They're just not picking
exactly.
me. And you sit there, you watch what we did in the IPL, and you go, well, I'm so glad we didn't take him to the T20 World Cup, because obviously we didn't need him.
Yeah.
Pankies will continue here. MI Cape Town 86 for 2, so they're 20 runs short of the target. But they need to get there in the next 2.4 overs to get the bonus point. As Rulison goes into one knee, another dot ball here. It's all of a sudden becoming a little bit interesting with the bonus point. And I think that's what
yes,
doing, because you've got 2.3 overs to go, 20 runs to get. So we're talking about 20 runs or needed of 15, which is very gettable. But as I said, the intent doesn't seem to be there.
Yeah, exactly, which I find strange, because you've got, 8 wickets in the bank. You can afford to, swing.
Yeah, Faf du Plessis doing a nice bit of fielding there to just restrict the single. So interesting to see now, as last 2 balls, if you can get through this relatively cheaply, and you've got about 16 to get in the next 2 overs, it'll be interesting to see the approach. I mean, one big over and you can get there. But as I said, there doesn't seem to be much intent.
Ogiso's in again.
He's given himself room this time, and if he misses, he hits. But he's kicked out to the field. They've gone straight to Faf du Plessis. And if this is a dot
Well,
ball, we're talking about 19 runs needed and 12 balls to get the bonus point.
this is a very good over from Puggy. So he's hit his ball to his field, and batsmen haven't got him away.
Yeah, and that was dragged down, and he's picked up the Romario Shepherd.
The
So
fielder.
3 from the over, and as I said, 19 runs needed in the next 2 for the bonus point. 19 runs needed, in the next 6 to win the game. So that's a formality, but interesting to see whether I'm sure you are chasing the bonus point. It'd be silly not to.
Yeah, I mean, especially if one thinks about the potential, for rain to interrupt. I mean, you'd be very silly if you think, there we were, we won by 8 wickets, but we missed out on the bonus point, and we could have gone for it.
Yeah. No, I reckon we'll see a bit of. I reckon this will probably be over there. I'll try to go for it. I mean, why would you?
No, and then what do you do if you're Faf du Plessis, knowing that that's like the likely scenario? Who do you have bowl here?
Well, I think Azori Joseph might have finished. So yeah, I don't know if you go to Garton maybe. He's bowled in the death before, and almost treat these two as 2 death. So he goes to Mario Shepherd, who hasn't bowled yet.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I was going to say maybe you go to Riza Hendricks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to have to be on the money straight away. Otherwise, he gives them the opportunity to cancel anything loose.
Oh, straight up, boy! I'll tell you on the money. He's got a wicket.
Well, there you go.
And Grant Wilson has just tripped the straight to cover, and Shepherd a touch of Midas. And
Yes.
first up, just a length ball, really nothing that special to be honest. I think probably a slow ball. No, it's a pretty and he just gets his timing completely wrong, and it's spoon straight to Janma Milan and the covers. And well, that's not the start that Emma would have wanted to the last 2 overs, but Shepherd will definitely be smiling there.
Yeah. Again, yeah. I mean, it wasn't. As looseners go, that was an excellent loosener. Yeah. So Rillison goes for 5.
Right, Sam Curran, I'm sure will be striding out here. It is Sam Curran, and I can tell you right now, he's been given 1 instruction, and that is not to. It's definitely not to block a ball.
Yeah, no, I think he's going to have to. So Grant Rillison 5 of 8. Yeah, it's all gone a bit slow actually. There was a stage when Ryan Rickleton was batting at more than 100, but he eventually, he finished with 21 of 24 for 87.5. Devon Brevis, who, we talk about him batting at 150, his strike rate was 123. And Rassie van der Dussen, yes, slow started. He's on 57. And Grant Wilson was on 62.5. So it's all kind of got a little bit
pedestrian, I think.
Unexciting. Yes, pedestrian.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, they'll be on track to scoring maybe like a 140 almost would be a good thing. So this is So it must be said, a decent actually bowling performance. The current run rate 6 and over, so 120 would get there, but you'd think a bit of a flurry. So as the 130, 140 is probably where they're be on track, and that's an interesting concept because maybe it was a 140 pitch. Maybe
there you go. Maybe it was.
So maybe our Joseph Kings 40 runs short, 30 runs short even maybe. Or
just 30 runs.
Is it the case that because we might have needed not? Oh, he's got straight at the top as Sam Curran. It's gone very high. Has it got far enough? I think it has. Out into the crowd, and I don't think it's been taken.
Did it not land on the roof? Well, you said he had 1 license, and clearly you were the examiner who gave him that license because he's hit that for 6.
Yeah, in the slot, and he's just he helps himself. Thank you very much. 87 meters. Oh, it should have been taken. Could have been taken. Wasn't taken.
Well.
I'm just seeing there are people on the ground. Yeah, people are down. There's limbs everywhere, and now he fires that down leg, and that'll be a wide.
This is disappointing now.
And all of a sudden, that bonus point becomes very straightforward to get.
Yes. Well, he's now bowling to a left-hander. I mean, that first ball delivery of his was to a right-hander, and it was a loosener. It was on the money, but he's battled to bowl to Sam Curran here. I mean, inevitably, when you get hit for a 6, the first ball that a batter faces off you probably try and do something else, and he's put that too wide.
There's some Sam Curran very early on that shot, it'll squirt out towards the point. just for a single, and they move within 11 of the win. They need to get it within 9 balls for the bonus point, which you should think should be a bit of a formality now.
Yeah.
After that lusty blow from Sam Curran first up with his first delivery.
Well, maybe Rassie Benedictson will also start chancing his arm a little bit more.
Right, a bit of a conversation between Shepherd and Faf. I like this about Faf. You know, I mean, you're defending 11. The game's well gone, but he'll still captain. He'll still change things. He'll still have plans. He'll still check. You know, he's not one who's just going to say, "Us just bowl," because we basically lost it.
Yeah, and I think that's important as a leader. You know, everyone knows you're losing the game, but let's try and get something out of it.
Yeah, and let's try and take it as deep as possible. Let's make it as difficult as possible. You know, because you can take the game to 17, 18 overs. Suddenly your batting collapse doesn't look that bad, and you can sit there saying, "Well, you know, actually, you know, it was a collapse, but we actually weren't as far off what we needed as we thought."
Yeah, but
just missing out on that one.
Yeah, he's not. It's fair. I don't think he's in the greatest of touch at the moment, but I mean, he is one of those cricketers who will just guts it through.
Yeah.
And we do know that once he starts finding that form, you know, he's a superstar.
Right, 2 balls remaining in this over, and Riza Hendricks has cut that, so they'll run down to third man for the single, so they move it to within 10. Well, 10 exactly, shy of the total. They need to get it in 7 deliveries for the bonus point. More importantly, I think it's brought Sam Curran on strike, who I'm sure will have a bit of a go at this delivery, but this is a dot ball. I mean, that's when this one will remain on strike. We'll have to get 10.
Which could make it interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, would make it interesting. I wonder if Faf is chirping Rassie there.
I'm sure having a couple of words.
Yes. Because if I'm not mistaken, Faf was one of the, you know, when he was captain, you know, was one of the people who really backed Van der Dussen.
Well, I think he brought him in when he was captain, and Sam Curran will just play that out there. Right, so nine required, 6 deliveries to come, 10 runs off that over. If that was a 5-run over, I think that would have made life a little bit interesting. I think 9 is pretty easy to get.
And just to clarify, Steve's talking about 9 runs in 6 deliveries for the bonus point.
Yes, not
the actual.
The win has been long gone.
Yeah, the Mumbai Indians, Cape Town are going to win this easily. If they knock the runs off here, they pick up a bonus point, and that will take them to the top of the standings. Albeit they'll have played 1 more than. Who's at the top now? I'm trying to remember.
Pretoria Capitals.
Yeah, Pretoria Capitals, yes. They played 1 more than them.
So the match equation is 9 or 30. The bonus point equation is 9 or 6. Sam Curran on strike. We're not sure. Surely we're not taking a strategic break here or something. I mean, come on.
Yeah, probably. This would make sense. No.
Okay, so it is a seamer. It'll be Garton will come in. It was supposed to read for 7, so if we could repeat that, and Curran goes to 45. And he does get a direct hit, but I think the slight pause was Shepherd actually who threw that in. Rassie Hendricks was well in. Right, so Garden went for 7 in his first over. In theory, if you could emulate that, he would prevent them from getting the bonus point.
Yeah, Curran obviously wanted to get that finer, but he didn't. Not a bad idea, though. Didn't try and, you know, just smack it. Now it's up to Van der Dussen. So it is getting interesting. You know, Van der Dussen, Mr. Blockett.
Yeah, struggling at the moment. Not going a strike rate of like just about 50, I think.
Well, if they're going for the bonus point now, Rassie Van der Dussen really has to throw caution to the wind.
Oh, he's inside edge for a single.
Well, it's brought the guy you actually want on strike, you know, to be on strike. So it brings Sam Curran back, but they've only conceded the 2 singles so far off the over. So that bonus point, is it slipping away? Let's see what he bowls to Curran now. He's left arm.
Well, goes
Oh,
for the
he's
single.
tried to ramp. He tried to ramp there, didn't come off. So that's a dot ball. So now it's 7 off 3 deliveries, which is required. So it is getting interesting, this potentially final over. Now he is going to have to. What's he going to do to this one?
And he just.
Okay, now he's
I
at a
think the bonus
hit.
point's off here, by the way.
No, I think it's off.
Well, you need 6 off 2, so
Yeah,
a boundary here and it's back on, but you need back-to-back boundaries here.
Yes.
Or just
yeah.
or one needs to disappear.
Yes. Well. So what does he do? Where does the bowler put it? What does Rassie van der Dussen do? I mean, he can hit the ball straight when he's in form.
Oh, he's missed it. He's missed on that.
Yeah, he's completely missed it. Right, the bonus point is gone. There we go.
Well, I suppose it could still be a 6 here. So yeah, this has to disappear.
All right, it has to disappear.
Yeah,
So,
4's not good enough, and I can't. It's bizarre that they've made such hard work of this bonus point.
well, yeah. So as you said, maybe the Lions' batting performance was bad. There's no doubt about that. But maybe if they'd got those another 25, 30 runs, it would have turned this into a game. So taking his time is the bowler here.
Go short. Oh, this will be a wide. Will it be a wide? Will it be a wide? It is a wide. Oh
Yeah,
my
it is a
goodness.
wide. Okay, that changes the complexion.
Yeah, because now a 4 would do it.
A 4 will do it now.
Oh my word.
Yeah, he will, and he done well up to this this point in this over, but unfortunately, not right now.
Well, it goes over the top. There's a fielder up there, and as long as he doesn't slip too much, well, they've missed the bonus point. That's really, really poor. It has to be said. Got to be doing better than that.
Well, there we go. Something of a win for the Joburg Super Kings.
It's bizarre, though.
Oh, look there.
End of the over there, and strategy break. I mean, talk about. When the sponsors pay the money, they pay the money, don't they?
Yeah. Oh dear. And 1 run to get. Is that the equation?
I think they need 3.
We do need 3 now. All right. So now, do we also take a break, or do we start wrapping up the match here?
I think we probably start wrapping it up, to be honest.
What can the Joburg Super Kings take out of this?
I think a good batting performance, to be honest. I think they're sitting 103 for 3 after 16. The current run rate 6.43. I think there was some nice batting performance. I think Gerald Kutsia can walk off a very happy with the work he did. I think that Alzari Joseph has been bowling very well, and I thought he was very good again once tonight. Garson wasn't bad. Just the 1 boundary off his over. It's difficult to really pick out any bowlers that were bad. Shepherd went for 10, but did get the breakthrough. So I think they can be quite happy with the batting performance. I do think that it was obviously impacted by the fact that MI Cape Town didn't have to go that hard. But at the end of the day, wickets and good overs are wickets and good overs. So I think they'll probably be thinking that when the batting clicks, they've got a nice all-round side.
Yes. And what about man of the match? Brevis has scored the runs up top here, but he didn't kick on. And in terms of the influence on the match, I'd have to say it has to go to one of the Mumbai Indian bowlers. George Linder, took the most wickets, but for me, KG Rabada was pretty spectacular. That was a pretty special performance from him.
Yeah.
And I think that really put them under pressure. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I think I was very impressed with what I saw from Waka Keel, the youngster.
Yep, yep, yep.
I thought that George Lindy bowled very well, getting important wickets. I think the MI Cape Town will be very tough for that. I think they'll look and think that Sam Curran didn't really contribute as much with the balls they'd like. He was quite expensive. But apart from that, and even in the batting, Grant Wilson probably the only real failure in inverted commas. Brevis played it nicely. Rickleton looked good for his 21, 24. But it doesn't struggle, but I think the important thing is time out in the middle. As Shepherd goes to Curran, looks for the wide Yorker, and will be a dot ball.
Curran hit the first ball he faced for 6, and since then he's actually looked quite uncomfortable. He hasn't been able to get the ball away off square. Maybe he's trying too hard. Yeah, you talk about Salamkil. I mean, he took 1 for 19 in 4, which is a really tight performance. Rashid Khan, the skipper, he took 2 for 18 and 4.
Yeah, balls out there from Karen Curran. Well, there it is. It's a one.
There
Oh
it
my
is.
word! And somebody's gone over the bank and onto the ground, and I hope he's all right. They looked like things were getting a bit messy there. Yeah, my character won by 7 wickets, and at the end of the day, never really looked like they were ever in trouble throughout the entire match.
But they should have got the bonus point.
Yeah, had to get the bonus point. I think that's a big failure from their behalf. Yeah, I think it's weird that they just didn't seem to want to really go after it. Again, I suppose people are still talking about the fact that it's a 16 tournament and 4 go into the playoffs, and the venues for the playoffs have already been determined. So, you sit there going, well, what's there really to play for?
Yes, I suppose.
So how important is that bonus point? Because you're not playing for a home semi-final or a home final. It's happening in Joburg regardless.
Well,
But I just think when you've got a point that's on offer and so easily achieved, why wouldn't you go for it?
Well, I mean, especially if you end up, losing out on net run rate to a side, and well, if we got the bonus point, we wouldn't have had to go to net run rate.
Yeah.
In terms of just getting into the playoffs. Yeah. So Gerald Coetzee, we spoke about him. Good performance from him. 2 for 24 in this game. Aaron Pangiso, he didn't take a wicket, the banker, but he, of the bowlers, he had the most economical return. He none for 23. Riza Hendricks, who bowled only the single over, went for 2. Maybe Faf should have bowled him some more. That's academic. George Garton took 2, none for 13 off 2, 6.5 runs and over. Same economy rate as Alzari Joseph, who his 4 overs went for 26. So I guess definitely the pick of the bowlers in that was Gerald Coetzee. That first over was a bit messy, but he came back really, really nicely.
Yeah. Right, well, that was the situation down in Cape Town. People, thank you very much for joining us. And Steve, I suppose, well done on getting through your first Forever Sports Watchalong.
Well, there you go. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, okay. Well, everybody else, please do smash like the video on the channel. Please do subscribe if you are new. We will not be live tomorrow because, unfortunately, it's an afternoon game, and I'm playing cricket as opposed to watching the Joburg Super Kings being useless. So that actually might
shot out.
Yeah, we might even stream the game. So I might even share that on the channel if you guys want to watch a bit of cricket. You can. We can all laugh.
We want to see you do that ramp
at the back of the bat.
Off the back of the bat.
I'm actually going to go right now and start practicing at my flat.
You do that.
Yeah. So to everybody else, we'll see you guys soon. And as I said,